We are live tonight on American Zombie. Like, say what's up to our Seeker Consciousness. What's up, brother? Oh, wait. Why isn't it letting me highlight? All right, I can highlight this comment, but it won't let me highlight Seeker Consciousness. Oh, we got Brian Nichols in here. Oh, my goodness, man. Dag, I think racism has eaten your brain away. I don't know what to say, bro. Yo, this is hilarious, man. This is hilarious. I don't know why. That's weird. Secret consciousness. It's not letting me highlight your comment, but salute to you, brother. Always a pleasure. Let me see what's going on here with that. I guess maybe you got to put the comment in again. It's not letting me. Oh, yeah, there it goes. Salute, brother. Always a pleasure, man. We got the link pinned to the top of the chat if you want to jump on. I did have this scheduled as the Christmas thing, but I figured on Christmas Day, it kind of fades. And as people look forward, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thank you, brother, man. Always a pleasure, man. Yeah, in the future, we will get into deeper conversations. I guess Nichols, Brianna Nichols, or Nicole, whatever the name is. Brianny Coles. That's the funny thing. But yeah, political zombies. I figure it would pull a few people into to see what it's about, especially with the thumbnail. Most people look at political candidates as their Lord and Savior, especially when they can identify with them. If we have bigots and people that are very prejudiced and ignorant, you'll have a group of people like the MAGA-tards to support that. And we got the Democrats as well are no better on the other side, in my opinion. So, yeah, Christ Mass, man. And what's funny is somebody had mentioned Mary, like Mary, supposedly the mother of Christ, Mary Christ Mass. Yeah, it was deep, man. It was deep. I think it was Sons of God last night that put it in there. Yeah, got to give them a lot of credit for that. But yeah, we're dealing with an epidemic of political zombies. I mean, it's so, the corruption is so ridiculous from what it appears to be to me. My opinion is that I don't think there's ever been somebody who hasn't been corrupt. But when people say about the inception or the starting of the country, remember, it was built on corruption, fueled by racism and slavery. And there were Irish and English slaves. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but it is true. And of course, African and Native American slaves. So there was a group of them. A lot of these guys that think that they built the country really are those are their ancestors, not the presidents. Mr. X, good to see you as always, brother. Mark, good day, man. Always a pleasure. Yeah, man. For some reason, I guess along the internet there is there's epidemics of political ignorance, which zombifies people. Christmas, I know Christmas is, already, what's it, an hour and a half before the 26th. So the real like hype for it is Christmas Eve, the eve of Christmas. So, that's just same thing with All Saints Day, All Saints Day, All Hallows Day, Hallows Eve, Halloween. It's always the eve for some reason, man. Can Alexis, good to see you, man. Can political zombies be cured? Man, it's really hard. I don't know if they can. They really have a way with going back. Every 4 years, they spawn like locusts to come and eat the thoughts out of people's minds. MAGA, if I'll look it up. I think it was in the early 1900s. All right, let me see. And the slogan, yeah, affiliated with, oh man, this is like, it's really brutal when I look up political scandals in America, man. I really, I don't think political zombies on the whole, but there are a percentage of them that might break the spell for a little while. There are a percentage of them that, yeah, it's a very high level of Satanism, man. Very. You're absolutely right, AP 530. As far as political scandals go, it's just constant. It's a constant thing. You know, you can go back to administrations and see that people were being expelled from the Senate as early as the beginning of the country, basically. George Washington's legislative branch. Most people, you know, there's three branches, even though there is no abiding by the law. We do see that. It's like a big farce to say, oh, they're free, you know, and you just see the law being broken blatantly. It's the law for the poor. That's really what it is. And well, not only that, it's also a very biased law. We just saw Jesse Butler, who assaulted two young women and was going to get 78 years, and they give him community service in Oklahoma. So hopefully Brian Nichols, whatever his name is, will go run tell that to Brave and let him know what his thoughts are. MAGA, we want our country back, but it was never yours. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, the MAGA infection on the mind has gone real deep. And, you know, that's one thing. But the other thing, I've seen people say, oh, well, if people would have voted for Kamala, and I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, this is like, I mean, looking at that was even like, what is going on? There is no choice, basically. There is no choice. It's like choosing between two different types of rocks to say, okay, which one do you want to be president? It just pet rock. Alexa says, why are political zombies only a problem in the US? No one cares about the politics in Russia or China. Why is politics so powerful in the US? The reason it's powerful in the US is we still have the illusion that the people are putting these monsters into office, basically. So they really think I mean, look at, if a president, right? Look at how Trump is just spreading racism now. Just open, instead of a president saying, look, what's happening in Minnesota, it's not good. They're scamming, all of this stuff. But even if it's the majority, say it's the majority. Don't say you don't like these people. I mean, he's fueling it. Just and people, again, when you got ignorant leaders, you know, they can only rule over ignorant people. I don't think Biden and Kamala are much better, giving away hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, it's the elites country. The Constitution states this. I mean, yeah, I mean, to think that the Constitution makes somebody free, it's like thinking a get well card makes you better. Joe Biden was complete zombie. Yeah, man. He was so bad. Even the zombies were questioning if he was given a yes. Oh, man. He was another level of zombie, man. The people of the United States versus the people of the United States of America are two different entities in the Constitution. Yeah, the whole writing. I think the writing of the Constitution was just to get people, to give them time, to get people to think. You get more time, you stall them. Hey, this piece of paper says you're free. But they don't realize, just like the get well card, that card is not going to make you better. That Constitution is not going to make you free. Vigilance, to be able to monitor your freedom, to, you know, strong communities make policing obsolete because everybody's taking care of the community. the uh, the government doesn't want that. They want to be able to come in and violate people at will. And this is done by keeping people at each other's throats, saying, look, these people are different from you, and you need to be careful. You need to be afraid of them. So we're going to do this. We're going to put these laws in place. And these laws not only are going to play into your fears that the government has already put in, but it's also going to constrict everybody's so-called imaginary constitutional freedom. It just, I'm very surprised that people don't see it, but we already know we're we're the survivors in the zombie apocalypse. Alexis says, MD, what's your thought on ICE is doing? People are saying they're Nazis. They are, ICE, when I look at it, in my opinion, is another form of tax, just like the space program, just like lottery. ICE is, it's the fear tax, basically. When I think of, and this is, it goes back to the saying, somebody said that the government breaks your leg and gives you a pair of crutches and says, see, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have crutches. So all of these people that are here, that they're using ICE, more money to tax people on, to say, oh, we need money for ICE, right? Meanwhile, if they get $100 million for ICE, $100 million is not going toward that. They're pocketing the corruption, the criminality is just off the scale throughout the country. So the same people that Biden and previous Trump and all of these guys couldn't keep out, they didn't want to change the laws or anything like that. They said, no, we're going to let this come in. We're going to create a problem, reaction, solution. We're going to create a problem, watch the reaction of the people, and then present our solution. And that's basically what ICE is. They created the problem. They created the problem. The government created the problem. They could have easily had stopped this from happening. They could have been like, look, if you're, documented criminals and stuff coming over from other countries, you can't get into certain countries if they find that on your record. I think Canada, you got to have like some type of letter from the Queen or like a pardon or something. If somebody's going from America and has something on their record. And then again, the record, when you look at the record, you look at just politics. What should raise a flag is, why hasn't there been any politicians that have been to jail? We don't see that. So that says a lot right there. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. He says right-wing zombies are saying Muslims are invading the country. No radical Muslims are being let into the country. Who is letting them in? That is definitely the government. The government, right? They're saying, oh, they're invading, right? But they're the ones that have let them in. Exactly. They are the ones that said, hey, you know what? We're going to provide benefits to people, which the American taxpayers will pay by force. Again, we don't have a choice. And I'm surprised people don't see this, that they basically will pass money out. Like Trump gives $20 billion to Argentina, but meanwhile, they're saying people are invading. How can people invade a country that is so technologically advanced? They're allowing this to happen. Totally, man. Yeah, it definitely. No, exactly. They're not being let into, like you said. Exactly. They're not. Who is letting them in? And that is what people don't want to see. Like you and I and others can see that it is clearly the government powers. The president can tell people to stand down. I mean, just like we saw with the towers. Oh, they gave them the order to stand down. I mean, the lies are just so inundating. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, it just shows you. ICE is just, it's a response. It's for them to tighten the noose around people's necks. It really is. It really is to tighten the noose, man. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. He says, do you believe the Boston Tea Party story? I mean, you're telling me we fought the British due to being taxed, yet nowadays don't give a damn. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I don't believe the Boston Tea Party. The Boston, or I don't even believe that the Revolutionary War story. They try to say, oh, we won the Revolutionary War against the British, and this big story and all of this stuff, just the way they say about the World War II. But matter of fact, we see that the entire NASA is made up of Nazi war criminals, basically. In my opinion, anybody can look it up. You'll see that the most famous one, Werner von Braun, right? He was playing with his little space capsules, and I would say if they won, right, and they said they won, America would still be resisting. But the smart way to do it is say, no, they didn't win. But everything over here, it's basically people can fly swastikas here. Meanwhile, it's illegal in Germany to fly that on a flag. So we're seeing how this became the Fourth Reich, basically. And till this day, I mean, you have Klan marches, you have all of these different gangs, war, white Aryan resistance, and skinheads, and all of this stuff. Why? It gives us a sight into what is going on, to where, yeah, the Boston Tea Party was a story again to make people feel comfortable, like, oh, you rebelled against the British, and like you said, they it's like, yeah, you mean we fought the British due to being taxed, yet nowadays nobody cares. Exactly. It's like the fact that people are so apathetic today. The political zombies are trained not to do anything but praise their candidate. People were looking at Trump as their deity before Biden was in. When you look at what happened with that whole thing on the White House, I thought to myself, in the 90s, if people would have tried something like that, I would think they would be met with deadly force. I mean, to think of it seems staged. It really does. To think that somebody would be so ignorant enough. At the least, somebody would probably get life. At the least, you're storming the White House? That's crazy. That's like straight up crazy. But again, we live in zombie land. We live in zombie land where they didn't learn. Like Trump, when and this is to show you how much of puppet, total puppet it is. Trump, when he didn't go along fully, 100%, like he tried to play his little dilly-dally stuff, acting like a clown during the first administration that he was in, and he didn't push full forward on the jab. And they were like, okay, you want to play around? And they put Zombie Boy in, Biden, which was just a brutal, I mean, it was so brutal. I don't even know what, I mean, over $200 billion just being put, scaring people. Oh, he's going to hire new IRS. What type of stuff is that for a president to say? He's going to hire more IRS agents and this and that. What? So you can take more money from the people and give it to Ukraine and filter something for your crackhead son? I mean, no dignity or whatsoever. No, the fact that the son, the president's son at that time was just a blatant crackhead and doing stuff that was clearly illegal and getting off. And now they put Clown Boy back in, the orange clown, and everybody thinks, oh yeah, it's great. And he's fueling, putting fuel to the fire, man. Yeah, the White House storm is so zombie, man. It's at a point where, yeah, I wonder, man. Crocodilla, what's up, man? Zombies of the Zog. Yeah, man. I think about this and I wonder, I say to myself, like, There's nothing you can say to a political zombie. They clearly believe that the system is doing the best for them. And if it doesn't, hey, you know what? They'll try in another 4 years. The political election wears down people's will and age until they get too old to care. And if we trace it back, like you were saying, Alexis, with the Boston Tea Party and everything, it's always a story to keep people calmed down. Always. When Trump was running in 2015 and said he would drain the swamp, did you think back then he could actually have been different due to him being a businessman, not a politician? No, no. I always was suspicious of every single one of them. I don't see where there can be any type of justice. These guys are puppets that are put into position to continue the zombie machine rolling. Yeah. Yeah. I knew people thought I was nuts when I told them after the tower thing. I said, you know, that that the government did that, right? And people just, I couldn't believe that it was a test to see how many people were zombified. And they were zombified. Till this day, a lot of people zombified about the towers. Cheers, Calix. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, it just yeah, with all the info we have, they are still zombies. This shows us how zombie people. This is the zombie apocalypse of the mentally dead. They're if you think differently, they try to eat the thoughts out of your head. It's crazy. Thinking overtaking the White House gives you all the power is very childish view of the world and power structure. It actually is, man. It shows you just how foolish people can be, how much they follow these political leaders that will not be there when they get in trouble. They're absent. That's a zombie on another level. When you think about it, that is a zombie on another level. Other countries that are that you know how we have people in other countries like Russia, how Alexis was saying that you know, why is it that that people in other countries aren't as zombified as the political you know, the political zombies, you know, here in the US, right? They only seem to be a problem here, but no one cares about the politics in Russia and China. Russia and China openly let them know, like, look, man, you ain't putting nobody in. We do this. We do this. So the people are more aware. They're definitely more aware over there because they live in a more brutal reality. Mr. X, brother, thank you for the support, bro. Always appreciated, man. Yeah, the White House has no power. It's a puppet house. It's actually a puppet house. That's actually a good word for it. The puppet house. That's what it should be called. That matter of fact, thank you, Alexis. That's what I'm gonna call it from now on. The puppet house. The puppet house is what it is. Trump is literally golfing half the week. How the heck is he running the country? That great observation, bro. Great observation. The fact that they were playing golf like they showed supposedly when they sent, you know, the thing to the moon, and they're playing golf. I mean, that's like such a spit in the face of saying, just we could do something and lie about it and nobody's going to say nothing. Just the fact that the president has time to play golf shows me how puppet it is. It's like, oh, so he's got time to play golf? Somebody who's supposed to be running the so-called freest nation in the world, right? The leader, right? What do they call him? That title, which was just ridiculous. The leader of the free world, right? It really, it's like talk to the average American and see if he feels free. The leader of the just propaganda continuously. And that's what the Nazis had said they wouldn't forget. They wouldn't forget the media. I think it was Joseph Goebbels, I think his name is. I forgot if that's the way to pronounce it. He said, think of the media as a big keyboard that the state can play on. And it plays on that keyboard to sing any tune they want it to sing. And this is what we have with the modern political system. It's the puppet house. Yeah, the puppet house is you know, that is a good one. Alexis is credited with that. If you are really running a country as large as the US, you don't even have time to play golf for an hour. Exactly. You don't have time to even think about golf. Exactly. Matter of fact, you would be too busy to do a lot of press conferences too. They would say, look, the president is extremely busy. He's in a meeting with this country, with that country. We're working on things with trade agreements, whatever, but it's all a sham. The scam of government is a total psychological thing. And it's with all governments around the world. When we saw that all the governments, there was no more beefing during the jab that happened back in 2020. Everybody, there was no countries really saying, nah, I'm not going along with that. 3 African leaders who didn't go along with that were ended basically within months. They were like, look, Tanzania, anybody can look it up. The president of Tanzania refused it. He actually said, look, you know what? We don't need that. And he went into saying something about like herbs and natural remedies. Boom, he was offed. Like he just ended in 2021. In my opinion, I find that very odd. And then I think there were 2 other African countries that refused it. And coincidentally enough, the leaders end up, oh, something happened. But all the other countries that were on board, it was business as usual. China, the one country that you would think would say, look, we're not going to, that showed me that something was behind the scenes the whole time. The whole time, something is behind the scenes, man. It really is. Unlike the US and China and Russia, leaders are actually running the country. Unlike the US, and China and Russia actually running the country. They never go golf or do any hobbies. All you see them do is work. There is some instances of Putin riding horseback and stuff, but again, they're all puppets. He's not. There's something behind the scene, groups behind the scene that's giving those orders. He's definitely puts on a better show. And China's keeping it real. They're like, look, man, we're not even telling you nothing. It's like, this is what we're doing. And when I look at those pictures, like China will have like the picture of the so-called emperor, whoever's running the whole thing. And then we see that in the USA, but we see it a little different. The pictures are more on the television. You'll see them, they'll have a symbol that represents the president or who they support, the blue and the red, all of that stuff. But the MAGA thing, I mean, that whole MAGA branding campaign, that put the zombies on overdrive. They were ready to come back and say, look, man, this is, we're going to make this great. And it's like, well, wasn't it supposed to be great? Or when was it ever great? People were bringing up some pretty good ideas with that, saying, hey, you know what? I think they're putting out a new form of mind control. And that's what happened. I mean, right now, we are, a year into this new, I don't even know if I can call it a presidency, but the new puppet house, the show that's going on in the puppet house. We're a year into that, basically. Alexa says the MAGA in 2016 didn't change anything. So let's vote for it again in 2024. Yes, exactly, man. That's the zombie ideology. It's like they have the attention span of a goat. I mean, it makes me wonder. It's like, how do these people actually function? It boggles my mind, man. It boggles my mind to know that people still vote and follow politics. And really, when I really think about it, it shows me the position that I'm in, where I'm surrounded by these zombies and it's so inundated. There's not really much a person can do except avoid them, try to shield themselves, look for other survivors like we do on the stream to see who might pass through. And there's definitely not many survivors. It's hard to stay aware because that machine is always bombarding us with distractions. And like you said, the president, if the president was really running the country, he would be too busy. But when you look at it, he's more like an actor. He's like an actor. And when you see them writing like so-called laws and you see the people standing around them, that's a ritual. That's a ritual where they're standing, oh, everybody's looking at him signing a piece of paper. And I'm like, what the heck is this, man? And people are worked so hard that most of the time they don't care. They can't care. It's so hard that they have to send their kids to school. They can't, some people, one person at least that I know homeschools his kid, but he makes a decent amount of money. He makes 6 figures a year, and it's still tough. But he says, no, I'm going to make sure my kids are schooled at home by their mother, which for the ordinary man is just not possible. Usually it's 2 people working. I mean, I grew up decades ago and both my parents worked, and I still didn't have the fact when they got a divorce and everything, man, it was brutal. I didn't have what the average person would have. It was definitely below poverty level. But, today, yeah, it's Crocodilla said, I guess they're launching attack on Nigeria. Oh my good. Yeah, I didn't know, man. It's just this whole thing, man. Yeah, pro wrestling. Yeah, man. They had another saying. They said when you think a politician is actually making a change or your candidate is going to do something, it's like thinking a stripper likes you. It's like, oh yeah, she really likes you, right? Like you were saying, it's like thinking pro wrestling is real. And funny enough, you got people that will still believe that. I thought it was crazy at first when somebody had told me, certain things. Like one guy said he went to, I think it was India, and he was a pilot. And he goes, the people over there were asking him, a lot of the youth, and this was years ago, over a decade. And he said they were running up, hey, is WWE real? Like, seriously. And I'm saying to myself, if someone asks you if WWE is real, right there, you would have to be like, wait a second, who, I'm like, is this person like joking with me or are they serious? Yeah, we never choose our candidates either. It's whoever the party pushes. Yeah. What people didn't see with the Kamala zombies, the Kamalians, right? When Biden was found to be too brain dead, basically, to even do anything, and they were like, look, we can't have this guy going up against Trump. The momentum is building. Trump seems to have, basically did whatever ritual he needed to say, okay, you're already in, because they don't, the whole campaign is just a show. It's like parades of crap, to make us think that it's real. They're supposed to vote in a Democratic nominee, but all of that was bypassed with the Kamalians. They put her up there with 3 months and just try to push what they could push to get whatever money they can grab. And then when she lost, or the show had went into recess, the commercial came in, that there was a group of people so zombified they were still waiting outside for her to come and give her speech about, hey, you know what, maybe next election or whatever. And she never came out. She left all those people hanging, and they still didn't wake up. Even other people that supported her should have looked at it and been like, whoa, she just dissed those people. These people were out there campaigning. They were believing in the illusion. And even though she didn't show up to say thank you, they still believe in the illusion. They'll make excuses, the cognitive dissonance in the mind. Well, maybe she's busy. Yeah, what, playing golf or something? It was sad, man. And then you had the other zombies running around celebrating that their clown won till today. Yeah, we never choose our candidates, man. We never choose. There is no, you think about it, there is nobody but but the two choices. To me, in my opinion, it's like saying, okay, what do you want to get, shot or stabbed? Both is lethal. And that's the choice. Any third party thing, it's such a lie. The political zombies support something that's so insane that it defies logic. I think about that. It's like, okay, you think that people that are basically taking almost half of your paycheck when you make money, openly giving it away to another country in front of your face. So, I mean, the extortion is just brutal. People don't like to think about that. That's why people will drink, they'll do drugs, anything to drown out the feeling of just what's happening to them. Do you think those people are just going to let you vote them out? Do you think, I mean, it just doesn't make sense on so many levels. But these commercials, these advertisements, I mean, that's basically what it is. They advertise the candidate. And I wonder what's the reason for that? What is the reason? What is it to get people? The voting is the thermometer to get to see, okay, how many people believe in the illusion? This is like an experiment. China is another experiment. Russia is another experiment to say, okay, we're going to see how the people react when we rule them with an iron fist. And then we'll go from China with the iron fist to Russia, and we'll rule them with an iron fist, but we won't press it down as hard. We'll still have Russians be able to, do whatever they got to do and get a visa or something and be able to leave the country. Some can't, some can. China, robot city. Japan is even more robot city. I mean, I think they had the highest end rate of high schoolers. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, their school system is like ours. It's based on the fallen state of Prussia's rule system. It just, just when I think about what I went through elementary, junior high school, and a little bit of high school was so traumatizing. I can only imagine what kids have been going through in the past few decades. It's just, it's a tough one, man. Maddie, good to see you. In my honest opinion, the biggest part of our problem is that positions that require real knowledge and experience are filled by political appointees without any clue in the subjects they should be proficient in. And even if they were proficient in that, I think they'd still be taking, the orders from behind. But it is a good point, Thoughts on the Second Amendment zombies, man. The Second Amendment zombies are just, they're like a different branch of insanity. In my opinion, they're like from, if you go to an asylum and you say, okay, who's on the right wing of the asylum? That's your Second Amendment zombies. Who's on the second floor, right? That's your constitutional zombies. The left wing of an asylum is basically the left wing of politics, and the right wing is the right wing of politics. So those different levels, I mean, Second Amendment zombies and constitutional zombies, they're basically like straitjacket level. So these guys are straitjacket level. The MAGA ones that still support, their candidate, even though we see what's happening right now, that's like Thorazine level. So these guys are taking the Thorazine every day, just numbed out, happy that somebody is in there as stupid as they are. And that's when you look at the whole MAGA Trump thing. I mean, it defies. When I think about that, I say, man, this is scary, because again, it's like a real life zombie movie. It's like, oh my goodness, these people actually believe what they're telling them. They'll see something on TV and they'll say, hey man, they said this. And I'm like, so you believe them? You saw it on the idiot box and it's true. And, I wonder, I say, okay, I got to be careful talking to this person because it's going to make me fall into a false sense of reality. And if I try to wake them up, they're going to attack. They're going to try to eat the thoughts out of my head until basically they're AWM, agree with me, zombie. You agree with them? Okay, cool. Then the zombie thing subsides. You don't agree with them? Forget it. You'll see how they react. Oh, this and then they start bringing up irrational points. And it's as if at that point, you're transported to the asylum with them and you're arguing in the rubber room. You're arguing inside of the rubber room, basically. And this is why I don't really get into it with them. I'd rather just stream and I mean, there's not really much you can, thank goodness for the internet. If it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't even be, how rare it would be to meet another survivor if it wasn't for the internet in real life. It's extremely rare, extremely. My semi-automatic AR means something against the government's. Yeah, exactly. That is so real, Alexis. I tell guys, man, since I was in the Army, I said, you ain't doing nothing against them helicopters and jets. The Apache that's a good analogy. Yep. They're like, my semi-automatic AR means something against the government's F-22 Raptor jet that we paid for. That's you talk about being cucked. I mean, these guys will sit there and talk about women and other situations, never knowing that, wait a minute, you funded that Raptor jet. You funded without choice, man. You're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right. If the Second Amendment actually meant something, you would see civilians drive armed tanks. It's all just a mind control meant to think you have rights when you really don't. And that is true. That is true. It's always to keep it's better. It's smarter, actually, like an art of war tactic, psychologically, to make them think, look, anything to stall for time, because time is what we don't have. So they just stall us out until we get older, and then we pass. And we can look back to the whole George Washington thing. It's been happening. We can easily track it because it's been documented. And you start to say, wow, they just stall this out just so they can use humans to build some type of what they call progress to create the technological world we see today. And that's what makes it seems like it's always been planned. They try to act like, oh, well, this guy was flying a kite and he discovered electricity. Meanwhile, we see the electrical apparatus carved into the walls on the Temple of Dendera. We find ancient, what looks like to be really ancient batteries with the clay jar and the cylinder that can create a charge when you put two different types of liquid in it, lemon juice, something as simple as lemon juice with the copper rod and stuff like that. And you're seeing more electrical apparatuses. There's not just one light bulb in Dendera. There's like, I think 5 or 7 of them on different walls. And you start to say with a cord and what looks to be like a transformer. And I'm saying to myself, people can see that and they're still like, nah, it might not be a light bulb. I mean, I remember when they tried to take Egypt out of Africa. Again, that's like they try to take Europe out of Asia. Oh, it's a continent. No, it's not. There was too much stuff in Egypt, too much technological ancient stuff in Egypt. They didn't want that to be classified as Africa. And the fact that people went along with that, till this day, people will go along with that. Till this day. They'll say, oh, well, it's not really, it's North Africa. Anything except to say, look, this is Africa. And now, from looking at the maps that I've put up on the thing, that we can easily see that it might actually be one gigantic continent because of the Suez Canal. It might be like Vegan Skeptic put it, aphasia. Aphasia is a great term because we already know who, only the zombies get angry at that. So what happened if the electricity back in Egypt, why is it gone? Did it get lost in translation? Well, I don't think it got lost in translation. I think it was put on those temples for when civilization is to be, or technological civilization is to be rebuilt after any type of cataclysm. Those who seemingly live longer than the average human will know how to re-engineer it. And that's what it seems to be, re-engineered, everything we have today. I knew the American history was BS when they told me a bunch of American farmers defeated the most powerful army in the world at the time, the British. The UK won and made the US and the UN. Yeah. Now that's logical deduction. This is how we think reasonably. And we say to ourselves that this is an excellent thing. Because when you think about it, you say, okay, so these farmers with pitchforks and hoes and rakes, they defeated the British army that came over here. The ones that had the ships and all of this stuff and cannons and everything. Oh, yeah. They think about it. To tell them that they won and say, yeah, okay, sure. That gets them to stop fighting in a way. It gets them to say, okay, and they're still being ruled. And when we look at it, we start to say, yeah, there was no winning. There was no winning. The propaganda, information is so important. This is what I've been seeing more clear and clear on how information, even the holding back of it is extremely, that's like a tactical war advantage to strangle information. And that's what we see. We see it on many platforms where people that say certain things are censored. They're censored, and then they'll push the clown agenda. They'll push stupidity and ignorance because we live in, the laws of stupidity. It's an epidemic, like Cipolla and Bonhoeffer wrote about. We live in a zombie apocalypse, man, of the mentally dead, man. The British Army conquered entire nations, yet couldn't handle a bunch of farmers with no military training. Alexis, brother, that is so real, bro. That is so real. Anybody that thinks will come to that conclusion and say, well, wait a second. So the people that have went and just were picking off countries, bang, bang, bang. And then what? These people just managed to defeat them. And, they wrote this and all of that. All rhetoric. It's like it was all established saying, look, this is going to be the story. They're going to believe it. And they're going to think that they're an independent republic. They're going to think that they're a constitutional republic. And we're not going to have any problems with them. They're going to serve us still. They're not even going to realize that they speak English. And where does English come from? England. So they don't. Canada, and this is the American illusion, how deep it runs, that they will believe the story about farmers defeating the most advanced army of the time, with Canada right above them being subjugated by the British. So Canada is that's basically Britain light. And we're like the stepchild that is thinking we're free, but we're really not free. And then you got Australia. I mean, look at how many countries have been conquered. Alexis has got a very good point with that. He's got a very good point with that. Yeah, and what did Nazi say? Yeah, I didn't question it, but now it really doesn't make sense when you think about it. Yeah, man. Well, it's not that we think America is so good. I mean, we're like beaten stepchildren that are trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, you know what? I don't think this is my dad. And that's because people, it's like Russia, the country, Mother Russia. The country is your mother, the father is your movement. So the movement is the father, the country is the mother. America, at least you see the people that wake up more, that will see it more, are the people that are more oppressed. They'll start to be like, hey man, this is corrupt. The people that are given a position where it's better for them, they're going to try to say, well, it kind of works and all of that, and they'll make excuses. Those are the politicals. Hey, he's going to change things for the better. Really? Have you ever seen taxes go down? I haven't. Have you ever seen pollution halt? Nope. And now look at the blatant lies. Oh, food was going down. Really? Anybody can clearly see that that was a lie. And now, what was it? JD Vance, I think, is now like pushing. I saw some thumbnails about him just pushing like more racism or something, just getting people riled up on not feeling guilty about certain things. And I was just like, wow, maybe I'll do a stream, tomorrow or one of these days about it. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be like the fact that homeboy wishing me a Christmas and stuff. We already see it's like I already know it's touching a few things, few feelings. They keep reusing this story as well. Vietnam farmers beat the most powerful military in the world. Afghanistan farmers beat the most powerful military in the world, and the people eat it right up. Man, Alexis, you are aware, bro. You are clearly aware, bro. That story, it repeats itself over and over and over. And it just, it constantly, they're eating it up. They eat it. It's like a tactic of the art of war. It's like that mental part, taking over a place without shedding any blood, is the highest form of victory. You just replace. People are running stuff. They got people oppressed, and they believe, okay, they're working. Hey, just take that structure over. Don't destroy any buildings. Don't do any. Just take it over, and tell them, like in America, tell them the farmers did it. Tell them the farmers did it, man. The scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, the scarecrow beat the wizard. Wizard of Oz is a good analogy because the scarecrow and the lion, I mean, the Wizard of Oz is like the government. Oh, you came here to defeat? Okay, what you want, a brain? What did he give the scarecrow when the scarecrow wanted a brain? He gave him a degree. He gave him a scroll, like, here, man, ta-da, ickety, ackety, oot, you're smart, ta-da. And the scarecrow was like, oh, thank you so much. He's jiggling, right? The lion, the cowardly lion, what'd he give him? A badge. Here, you're a cop. You can hide behind this. He was all happy. The Tin Man gave him a fake heart. Here, put this necklace on that has the shape of a heart. All right, ta-da, you got a heart. And, todo in Spanish, I think, means everything. So everyone, so it took Toto to pull the curtain back, to pull the illusion of the curtain back. It has so many analogies in there. And then Dorothy, of course, with the shoes. But one thing that people miss is the wizard gets away. The government gets away. He floated off. And I think it was the so-called Good Witch of the North, that Glenda, that let him go, that let the rope go. And go start it again. What was Hillary Clinton's response when they asked her what her favorite movie was? She said The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. That's the hilarious thumb. Yep, these farmers seem to be the most powerful people in the world. They got started recruiting farmers. Yeah, they got to start recruiting the farmers instead of soldiers. Man, bro, this is so real, how they keep using this story. Farmers beat powerful militaries. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you see that, Zombie Sleeper. The fact, not only did he not drop the files, right? Because when he saw he was on them, that, this guy is straight, you already know, right? But the fact that he started spewing hate. Oh, look, those people are different. And we don't like that. And I don't want them. And people are eating that up. That whole crew with this other, and Brave, I'm not mad at Brave. It's just, I'm surprised somebody can be in their 70s and be that ignorant. But it makes the old saying true. Even fools grow old. So we must remember that. It's being, older doesn't make you smart. It just a lot of old fools. Yeah, man. These soldiers, bro. This is like, when I think about that soldier story, you're really keeping it real there. They control both sides of wars. Yep. Fraternities dragging on as long as possible. It's something behind the scene. Trump did drop the files. They just 80% redacted. Yep. Yep. They're like, hey, they cross his name out. Everybody else in his cabinet. I mean, you look at these things and it's just like, holy smokes. I can't even, it's at a point where I'm very, very shocked. I'm very, very shocked that people haven't woken up yet on the fact that Epstein, they said he ended himself. I mean, it was so sus. It was so sus. It was just crazy, man. Yeah. Just to think that this is what really, it's like, really? So that you believe that? Really? It's like, oh, okay. Okay. So that's what you believe, huh? And that's what they believe. The zombies will eat the thoughts out of people's mind. Got to be careful. Like, imagine trying to talk to somebody who still believes Trump is gonna, do the right thing. Oh yeah, he's still got a couple of years in there. There's nothing you can say to that person. I mean, Alexis has got an excellent point. The farmers, we can go back, and that's an excellent point. We could say, okay, so wait a minute. They're telling me that some farmers, not only just any farmers, but these guys have been spent. They are spent. They've been over here trying to make a living. They got tribal people, and actually they were getting cool with some of them, but they're having beef all the time. But yet magically these farmers were able to defeat the British coming over. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Vietnam, same thing. Oh yeah, they defeated, America had to pull out, Really? Okay. Same thing with all the other ones. Afghanistan. Oh yeah, no, they were able to, fight them off. It just really, man. MD, were you ever deployed? What did they have you do in these wars? No, actually, when we were going to be deployed, they sent me to North Carolina, Fort Raleigh, and then we went to Fort Jackson in South Carolina. And within a few days, they were like, all right, whatever was happening was already quelled. And then it was like, okay, we got to go back to Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn, because it was after I got out and they called us back. And it was after a year. I didn't want to go back. I was like, nah, but, once you enter, once you turn 18, you're supposed to be registered for the draft. So for 8 years till you're 26. I did a few years active duty. And then, you still have about 4 years. And I heard you can even be called back after that, up until a certain age, and then they leave you alone. But yeah, thank goodness it wasn't nothing to where they were going to ship us over. One of my friends, I remember, he had went over and he was there for about 8 months. He was in the Middle East, and there's always something going on in the Middle East. I just don't. It's like, what the heck? And coming into the early 2000s, that's when the guy in the Marines was in Japan, and then he was being sent over, and I spoke with him. He didn't want to go. He was thinking about not going. And I was like, that's a tough one, because then it's like the people who went to Canada during the draft for Vietnam, they were smart, but you got to start a new life. It's a tough one, man. This machine makes it very hard for you to escape it. It's hilarious how these farmers could take on these militaries, yet the native tribes of America get ran over by the U.S. Exactly, bro. That's an excellent point, man. You got people that know the land better, living for how many hundreds of thousands of years to 10,000s of years, understand the ecosystem, the animals, the poisonous plant, the good plants, and they can come over here and they just get run over by the U.S., right? The militaries, but yet the farmers can take on the, it is hilarious, man. This is common sense 101, to be like, look, man, what they're telling us ain't true. And then they got this group of political zombies that try to police the thought. The thought police are real. Political zombies are one type of thought police. Religious zombies are another type. And then when you combine the two, you get the politically religious zombies, a new deadly breed of idiot. That's basically the new breed. We see that today. We see it with the guys like, big time. Nothing against people that are Christian, but when we see in America, we see that, they're political Christian, forget it. Yeah, it's just like, whoa. You wonder. I mean, some people, religious, very good people, nice people. All religions, you're going to find some cool people. The majority are going to be zombie. The majority are going to be zombie. It's just what it is. And I think people that have a lot of religious people and stuff in their circle, I think they know this. I think they know this. I think they actually see like, this is a reality that they themselves have to battle with zombies in their own congregations, in their own political circles. You see a lot of the people that support, like I think it was Zombie Sleeper or Zombie Sleeper was saying when he dropped the files, he woke up. Yeah, it took that point. Yeah, left or right on religion is hard to tell. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. It takes a point, and I'm so glad that it took the dropping of the files on how he did it, the redacted and all of that woke you up. And then that awakening is you're going to see more and more and more on that. Like you see how Alexis here is a veteran on awakening. He's putting stuff in here that people need to look at, and I think they will wake up to be like, yeah, you know what, man? That's crazy. The Native American tribes getting ran over, and these guys are organized. These guys are warriors. They're warriors. But yet the farmers could take on the military. And yay, they signed the Declaration of Independence and all of that. Yeah, it's crazy how most people haven't woken up after the files dropped. They're distracted. When those files dropped, notice he started talking about all this other stuff, the Somalis and Minnesota, and all of that stuff had been going on for who knows how long. They could have stopped that. They're the ones that actually let it happen. Then he starts talking about everything. He tries to get on the race thing. Then he tells the vice president, the vice puppet, to say, okay, look, you go out here and say something to right, get them thinking about race again, so they forget about the Epstein files. And don't worry, it'll go away. We'll have Taylor Swift throw a concert. We'll have Kanye sing a few songs, grab the mic from her or something. Anything to get them not thinking about that, so we can just, and matter of fact, we'll donate. We'll say we're donating another couple of billion to some country without ever, everybody's already forgot about Flint, Michigan. They don't care if that place has drinkable water. They don't care that there's cities in the America, the so-called most advanced country in the world, right? They don't care that there's parts of it that are basically third world, where people don't even have drinking water, overcrowded people in cities, that they're I don't know if they dumped it already, the gallons of nuclear waste in the in the Hudson. Did they dump, I think it was 45,000 gallons of nuclear water into the Hudson River. Seeing if it popped up. A federal judge, he ruled that Holtec International, who owns the Indian Point nuclear plant, that they can drop that 45,000 gallons of treated, mind you, treated radioactive wastewater. And New York was fighting it, man. But it's like, you look at that and it's like, were they really? It was just whole zombie stuff, man. Whole zombie stuff. The fact that they're dumping this, because I think it's up a little up north from New York City, the the nuclear power plant. And when it rains heavily and stuff like that, the sewers overflow in New York and go into the Hudson River, just raw sewage. So you got raw sewage, you got nuclear wastewater that's coming out. I mean, this is crazy. In my opinion, I can't believe that people still, they don't even care. If you say, hey, you know what, they just had a ruling, and the ruling was approved because they were trying to fight it. They were trying to fight it. And you know, this is like what is going on? What, the fact that they're saying, look, somebody can make up a law and say we're allowed to dump nuclear wastewater, and to make it seem better, well, it's been treated. It's still radioactive wastewater going into water that's going to infiltrate through the whole table. It's going to probably get into plants. Who knows what it's going to get into? We don't know. But yet, hey, you know what? You can dump it. And that is what a lot of the stuff that I think the natives were fighting against, because common sense, they were like, what are you, crazy? Whatever you do to the web of life, you do to yourself. Man is just, a strand. And these people, when I look into it, they have some of the deepest philosophy that I've ever read about. Lex said, people have forgotten about East Palestine. Yep, you're right. In Ohio, I forgot to mention this on your movie stream, but there was a movie called White Noise that took place in Ohio, the same state. Yeah, I did hear about that. I think that movie, White Noise, had came out over a year, I think, before the thing happened. It was in the same, matter of fact, some of the actors that they had in the movie were from the town. And it was about the same scenario, about the waste, the radioactive, or I think it was chemical waste. And I think I showed it on an old live stream. I don't know if it's still public, of the cloud of smoke. One thing was, okay, it crashed, all of this stuff, clean it up. They're like, no. They're gonna light it on fire to make it even worse, because now that stuff goes into the atmosphere and rains down all over the place. Nobody cares anymore. They didn't even care what had happened. That was so polluting, so messed up. And it's as if people totally forgot about that. Totally forgot. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, man. Yeah, that movie, White Noise. Yeah, we need to, I'm gonna look into that, and we'll see. Yeah. Well, movies that predicted stuff, I guess. Yeah, we'll talk about something like that on one, maybe tomorrow night. Either that or the microplastics are just ridiculous, man. Also, the chemical invasion happened in the movie the exact same way in real life, by two trains derailing. Wow. I gotta watch that. I think they got it for free on YouTube. Yeah, I think YouTube is giving that movie for free, the White Noise movie. If not, I know I can find it, and I'll look through it. That movie, there was one with John Cusack. It wasn't Contagion, because Contagion movie, that's 2011. Okay, there's a movie, I think, with John Cusack. What recent movie, basically? Recent movie with John Cusack. And I think it was a vaccine movie. Okay, John Cusack was in the 2020 Amazon Prime series Utopia. That's what it was. A conspiracy thriller about a viral outbreak and a comic book predicting global disasters, which drew parallels to the pandemic and the jab skepticism due to its timing. So it was in 2020, right when it happened. It's a series, not a movie. Okay, Utopia, TV show, not film. Cusack's role, he plays Dr. Michael Stern. So he's a key figure in the conspiracy, and the jab theme so shows the deadly thing, the conspiracy surrounding it. Yeah, this is just too similar actually to yeah, yeah. That if anybody gets a chance to check out, if they have Netflix, or yeah, I think it was on. No, it was on Amazon Prime. It might be on Netflix. Called Utopia, 2020 Utopia series, and I did see parts of that. Just it was like such a parallel to what was going on with the whole thing. It's just yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's at a point where it's just like what is actually happening, what is going on. I mean, these movies are telling us stuff that actually is happening. It's as if they're saying, look, we can't come out and just openly tell you, so we're going to make this television series, and maybe some people will wake up to it. We're going to make this movie in the same town. See, that's the craziest thing about the White Noise movie. It's basically in the same area, and like Alexis said, the two train derailment. You know what people had the nerve to tell me, and this was so sad. People that I knew from Ohio, and I didn't even know what to say, man. When that happened with the train derailing and the chemicals spilling, people, instead of saying, well, wait a minute, Biden is president, it's like, what about responsibility? They said, oh, Trump had made the laws for stopping and checking the trains more relaxed, so that led to the problem. Nothing about Biden needs to take responsibility. With the puppet show is just ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. The fact that they saw what happened in East Palestine and couldn't say, well, wait, what the heck is going on? We went from one puppet to another puppet. Straight Weekend at Bernie's. They're like, no, it wasn't him. They're still mad at Trump from the previous 4 years. That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy political zombies are, that they would still be mad at Trump from the previous election, even though the East Palestine disaster happened under the watch of Biden and Kamalians. No, they just, and now look at it. It goes again. Trump's president. Something that happened. Oh yeah, it was Biden. It was Biden, but before him, it wasn't. It's not Trump. Even though Trump has the power to change or whatever, supposedly, it's they do this thing. It's so easy to be seen by somebody who thinks it's like, okay, so when Biden was in office, they blamed the Palestine thing on Trump loosening the laws on the train checks with the brakes or something. So that's why it happened. Biden, oh no, yeah, okay, he's president, but was still Trump, right? Then when Trump gets in, and they say, well, wait, what's going on? Oh, well, it was Biden, man. It was when Biden was in. This is a pattern that I can't even believe people ain't waking up to. It's crazy. Thoughts on Bush? How zombie was he in your days? Bush was so zombie, bro. People are blaming the immigrant invasion on Biden when Trump is currently. Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's a very good example of how they try to pass it back. They backpedal. Bush, when Bush was president, Bush Light, because we have Bush the father, then we have Bush Light, right? In 2000, when he became president. Even Al Gore, again, it's like, what kind of choice is that? Al Gore or Bush? It's ridiculous, right? So when Bush came in, and this is the crazy thing, when I look back at Bush and how just mentally inept he was, and then I look at what's going on now, Bush don't seem that bad, even though he was just disastrous. The towers happened under his watch. We saw blatant lies, like every politician, and the country was pushed into a war that didn't know who to fight. So they started talking about WMDs, right? Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And I don't think any weapons were ever found, but I think a lot of people were ended. Over 500,000, I think. Uh, Let me see. I think, and I think the war, I think it's still going on. I remember a kid, the Afghanistan. So they're going Iraq, Afghanistan, and people. He was so puppet. Like you'd see, the Dick Cheney was running stuff more than him. Um, so he was. Let me see. How many people in Iraq during Bush? So in Iraq, and I know Google ain't gonna, it's always gonna be something with them, but wow, it actually was pretty, because I remember it being like 500,000. They said like 655,000. Yeah, okay. So they're trying to at least, and if they're saying that, it could even be like 1,000,000. We already know that they yeah, yeah, they just, yeah, man, they don't forget the Patriot Act, which is anything but patriot. Yep, they signed in the Patriot Act with Bush. Soldiers are still being yep, sold, yep, exactly. So you're looking at over 20 years, and we see, yeah, over 20 years, and we're seeing that people, there was a kid a few years ago born when the war started. He turned 18. So when the war started, I think 02, 03, he turned 18 years later, and was sent over to Afghanistan, joined the military, was sent over there. That was like some crazy stuff. The fact that you have people that were born during this conflict, this war with Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're now over there. That should tell us a lot, to be like, holy smokes, people are born and sent over there. It's like this is the never-ending war. It's like a never-ending war, man. Yeah, Upgrade. Yeah, I've heard of Up. I didn't see the whole movie, but yeah, it was kind of, yeah. I like when I was looking through it, and he was like talking to the thing that, I guess kicks in when makes him go like assassin kind of. But White Noise has to be looked into, that movie, and also the Utopia movie with John Cusack. That well, not movie, but it's a TV show. It's a series, and he plays this doctor. Um, and I think, yeah, it's Amazon Prime Video. They're saying it's not on Netflix. Yeah, but that one, when you look at that, it's like an extremely close parallel to what happened during the thing in 2020, that everybody is still kind of shaken up from. I mean, that was brutal. The fact that people had this, I mean, it was lockdown city. Oh, stores couldn't open, but the liquor store was open. That was the crazy thing. Liquor stores were open, but doctors' offices were not. It just, man, the Middle East has a ritual where it has to always have wars there. I wonder why. Yeah, man, there's something going on with the Middle East. It's just constant conflict when I think about it. The Middle East is just a constant conflict. It just yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's the zombies, man. It's the zombies. It's like yeah, they say only essential workers, right? It's just crazy, man. It's like, I'm gonna finish this zombie movie and start putting up some more Arnold the puppet actor saying screw your freedoms, maybe lose all trust in actors. Yeah, man. Yep. Like when we did that stream on celebrities, never trust them. Never trust music celebrities, movie celebrities. They're all part of the agenda, man. No sports celebrities. They will say what they tell them to say to keep people asleep. We know that. The fact, and that's a good way to test how zombified a person is. It's like we see it with, I mean, Scribe and I, we're very close friends. I mean, the whole Tupac thing, man, it just shows me just how tightly the zombie virus can bind to a person's mind when it catches them during their teenage years. And I give the guy a lot of credit, man. Hopefully one day he'll wake up and, be dispelled from the Tupac virus. But a lot of people got that, man. There's a lot of people. I think Wavy and a few others that was on is Tupac zombies. They can't even say that what he did was detrimental to everyone, to have people basically in a state of fantasy island. And just like I'm not just picking on Pac, it's every single musician, every single celebrity. You can't trust them. They are there. If they act like a rebel, then even more so. Even more so. It's like, wait a minute, why is this guy trying to get me to act in this certain way? But he's rich, though. But he's rich, right? But he's rich. And I've seen people, they get a little in their feelings when you talk about their favorite zombie puppet, especially when it's a political puppet. A political puppet, they get really into their feelings. But I also see it with the people that are into musical puppets. The musical puppets, the way people follow these musical puppets. And I say to myself, if you ever look, just the word fan, the fanatic, right? Oh, no, don't call it a fanatic. Call it a fan for short. So people, because if you call it a fanatic, there's not many, you might wake people up. They might say, wait a minute, I'm not a fanatic. If you go into a concert and stuff, that's kind of fanaticism. Look at the who was that guy with the concert where people got ended? Travis Scott, I think it was. And when I looked at some of the stuff, like the area they had to walk through, like the mouth, I said, wait, this is so ritual, man. This is, matter of fact, they had a video, a clip where he was doing, I guess he was on stage doing a concert, and somebody grabbed his sneaker off his foot. I mean, zombie level stuff, trying to take the dude's sneaker to say, look, I got a sneaker. And he got mad. He stopped the concert, was like, yo, he wants his sneaker back, this and that, and started going. And I said, wait a minute. So the previous concert, people were getting crushed basically to death. And he didn't stop the concert. People were telling like, yo, it seems to be ritual, in my opinion. Seems to be really, really ritual. The fact that he didn't stop that concert. Can we trust Ventura, or is he a puppet like all the others? He was a governor of a state. Yeah, he was a Minnesota governor. Honestly, I don't think we can trust any of them, Alexis. They will turn on a dime, man. They will turn. It's like, yeah, they'll give a couple of truths, like Ventura be like, oh, well, this and that. No solutions, though. It's like, wait a minute. So, and again, another thing is he was an actor. He was WWE. How do you get, and this is really lets us see that no matter what he says, it's like, look, man, we know you're a puppet. You could talk all that stuff about Vietnam and all the, everything was set up. It's a lie. Great. But you are part of the agenda. So in other words, the best choice, and this is like how you put the farmer thing, 2 + 2, and you were dropping the knowledge, Alexis, with the farmers defeating the armies, and it's like it doesn't make sense. It also doesn't make sense with Arnold and Jesse. The fact that you got a guy from WWE and it's saying, so you're telling me nobody that was trained in political science, that was academic, you didn't have no candidate that was qualified to beat a WWE wrestler. So that's the guy that they put in there. This is a test to just see how stupid people are. To say, no, watch, we can put in, I bet you they're making bets behind the scenes. And somebody's like, nah, man, I don't think people are that stupid. And the other guy's like, look, I'll bet you that if we put a guy from the WWE Wrestling Federation, the fake wrestling federation, they will follow him. And it's like, and they did. We'll put an actor that can barely speak English, that don't care about people. I think Arnold's father was one of in Hitler's camp. Let me see. Was Arnold's father a Nazi? Basically, I'll just put it in basic. Yes, look at that. Holy smoke. Lord Google coming through. Lord Google coming through, man. The fact Trump even won is proof they are selected. Yes. Check out what Lord Google says. I typed in, was Arnold's father a Nazi? Yes, right off the bat. Arnold Schwarzenegger's father, Gustav Schwarzenegger, was a member of the Nazi Party and served as a military officer, Feldgendarmerie. So I guess that's a name for during World War II. A fact Arnold learned much later in his life. Wow, so Arnold didn't know. Wow, they just keeping the lies going. So you're telling me Arnold didn't know his father was an SS? Wow, and has spoken about it publicly as a cautionary tale against hate. Oh my good. He described his father being sucked into hate. Yeah, he didn't choose to do that, right? He got sucked into it, right? And used his family experience to decry rising anti-Semitism and warn others. Man, and then he comes out and says, "Screw your freedoms." When I see stuff like this, it's like this just adds into, really, you thought America, you thought they won World War II? I think they were all. I think what they were fighting over was, okay, look, they all Nazis, everybody, England, America, Japan, Russia, Germany, all of them. And one is saying, no, we're going to rule everybody in the open. And the other's like, no, we got to keep ruling them in the secret. And that might have been what the beef was over. But some people actually have a deeper thing with yeah, and he definitely through his family's history. So having a Nazi camp as NASA, disguised as NASA, wasn't good enough. We're going to put this guy in to California to be the governor. Again, somebody whose father was a Nazi, basically. So how many more Nazis do you need to be ruling in certain positions in America to understand that World War II was lost, actually? That's what it seems like. That's what it really seems like, in my opinion. And then the Nazis was like, look, we'll show you how to fake stuff and make it look like it's real. And ta-da, we had the mission. We had the mission. We had the Neil Armstrong. I mean, that was so blatant when we look at that. Hey, what happened to the tapes that they did? We lost them. They destroyed. So the most important scientific achievement would be that, and you're not telling me, like, even if you said you lost them, that's suspicious right there. But to say they destroyed them, that's like something with the towers. Oh yeah, no, we shipped the steel over to China. No, crime scene, And most of the time when something like that happens, they'll study how a building or something falls or something is destroyed by fire to learn how to rebuild it to where that won't happen again. None of that. None of that. There was no science involved in that. It was, in my opinion, it was a cover-up. It was crazy, man. Yeah, Arnold was selected, man. MD, the Nazis won back in World War I, not World War II. There's no way a nation destroyed like they were in World War I would be able to rebuild their military in 15 years to be the most powerful in the world. I think, honestly, that they may not have been as destroyed in World War I. I think these World War I and World War II, and this is what it could be, because you got a good point there. The people that push the narrative of not the ancient civilization, but the previous one, like the Tatars or the Tatarian, the Tartars, they say that World War I and World War II were meant to destroy a lot of the evidence from the old world, like the bells, like they said the ringing of the bells actually had a healing effect and possibly could keep away certain things. all of those bells, they oh, we need to melt these down to make wartime stuff. Same thing in America. They say San Francisco, when they dug parts of it, had streets below. They have pictures and stuff like that. So if there was a lot of, like, Laos has these giant jars. I mean, these jars of Laos are giant. And they say Laos is the most bombed country. I think, let me see, is Laos the most, I think it's LA, the most bombed country? Because I do remember seeing, yes, Laos is widely considered the most heavily bombed country in the world per capita due to the massive aerial campaigns during the Vietnam War. So during the Vietnam War, so it's like, no, why wouldn't they be doing that to Vietnam? No, they're doing it to Laos. So Laos, what Laos had was, let me see, the giant jars of Laos. These giant jars of Laos, people were saying, were something that that they destroyed, that they wanted to destroy these things like this. Now, some of them still exist, of course, but when you let me see if I can get some good pictures of it. And these are yeah, I think I got, let me see if I can upload this. This giant jar picture in Laos is just it's off the Richter scale, man. This is okay. So giant jar picture from Laos. You look at this right here, right? There's a pretty big jar. And they got a lot of these all through Laos, right? All of these jars through Laos. And they say that, you know, nobody knows what these are. Nobody knows what these are. These are like scattered throughout fields. And let me see if I can save this picture. This is a big picture. Wow. These web file pictures don't allow me to, you know, it makes me wonder. It's like when I look at these massive stone jars from Laos, let me see if they got other one. But, you know, you look at this picture from Laos and you start to say to yourself, I mean, there's a lot of these jars too. I'm trying to look to see if I can get some better pictures of it. They had one with the guy standing behind it, but it kind of looks like it's there's some tourist. I'm trying to get one where you get a good feel of the and there's all different types. There's all different types. Let me see. I got another one. So I just showed the one of that lady. So that's this one here. So she's here, and then you got a broader view. So you have different types. You have broken ones. It's fields of these giant jars. Who's drinking out of these jars? You know, I mean, what are they? Are they even jars? It's like these are giant containers that are all throughout Laos. We got the cards from the 1800s that got kids sitting in cabbages as if they pick them, which seems to have been how they got the name Cabbage Patch Kids. And when people say, oh, kids are brought by the stalk, right? The stalk brings the kids. We think it's a bird. Could it be the stalk of the cabbage that, you know, and that's the whole ancient cloning theory and stuff like that. It definitely, I might have to get into a stream about that just to say, to kind of just keep the knowledge going, man, because this is part of all of our history, the history of the world. They try to make it seem like, oh no, it's only one person. No, this is the history of the world. The plain jars is of Laos, right? They call them the plain jars, and they're a megalithic archaeological landscape in Laos. But again, then why is Laos the most bombed country in the world? And this is thousands of stone jars scattered. They're saying anybody can look it up on Wiki and other websites in the lower foothills of the Central Plain. And it just it's kind of odd. It's just kind of odd um very, very odd that would be that would happen. That would happen. I'm looking for this map to see if I can find the I think it's the Orontes Phineas map, because when you look at these maps, I'm looking for a good view of it. They had maps that they're saying that Columbus had of the whole coast um, of the Americas, from Canada all the way down to Argentina. Orontes Phineas map. Okay, yeah, this map that they had here, the Orontes Phineas map, I think it comes from Orontes Phineas. What year was this? 1522, I think. You know, when you look at the dates of this, and they're even saying that it could be earlier, 1494. And you wonder, you start to say, wait a second, this is a mystery. You know, Ragamuffin, good to see you, man. It's Merry Christmas, one love, much blessings. Merry Christmas, brother. One love, bro. Alexis says you're right. World War One and Two are the perfect excuses to destroy giant fossil and leftovers. Yeah, the giant fossils and leftovers, man. To the fact that they have the World War One, World War Two, right, and then they continue the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and what are they doing in Nam? They're bombing Laos like crazy to say, look, there's some jars here with some other stuff next to them. Who knows? Maybe the giant remains or something like that, that they're going to get. The perfect way to get rid of it is using artillery. That's the perfect way to get rid of it. Anyone near it, anyone around it. I think that could be also a reason, when I think about it, why they exploded what they say were nukes on Bikini Atoll. Bikini Atoll, it really is messed up when you think of the story of it, because it's a remote Pacific coral atoll. It's an island in the Marshall Islands that the U.S. uses a nuclear weapons testing ground in the 40s. That's crazy. Displacing the people, leaving lasting radiation through its stunning lagoon, and shipwrecks now attract researchers. So you look at that, like, what type of monsters do things like that, man? Just tell people, look, you're living on a paradise island, right? And you know, we know that this is your home for how many thousands of years, but we're going to ship you off this island, and we're going to do nuclear tests there, and it's still radioactive till today, significantly from the test. And Bikini Atoll is like a paradise. It's like a beautiful paradise island that people were living on. And they said, nah, you know, hey, we know you like it, but hey, remember, the monsters of the earth seem to have a lot to do with westernization. Has a lot to do with that. Just saying. It's like when people say, oh, well, you know, I see these guys getting mad, like, oh, well, we built this, we built that. It's like, wait a minute. Do you also take credit for destroying people's home, just going into the middle of the Pacific? Maybe there was something in Bikini Atoll that they wanted to destroy. That's what it seems like, too. To say that, okay, we're going to destroy this thing, say we're testing nukes out here in Bikini Atoll, or gigantic conventional explosives, and now nobody can go there because it's radioactive. It's really, really messed up on what happened to Bikini Atoll, man. Alexa says, I've seen evidence that George Washington and the rest of the founding so-called fathers weren't fathers, but Yeah, it's a big possibility, man. In my opinion, could be. Yeah, somebody had mentioned George Camel Toe Washington. If you look at the pictures, in my opinion, it's very suspicious. It's also really weird how every man of power during that time wore a wig. Yes, a wig. Get this, bro. A wig and stockings. You know they got them pictures where they're rocking the stockings with the shoe with the buckle. Straight buckle my shoe. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. And makeup. And makeup. You know they had the powder face. They put the powder puff, threw on the wig, had the stockings with the buckle. It's very, and George Washington, they say, had no kids. So that made me even more suspicious to be like, this guy, something is weird. Could it be Georgiana Washington? Could it be something different? You know, Tomalina Jefferson? Who knows? Who knows? And then if we take it back a little further, look at Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. The apple fell on his wig and supposedly he discovered gravity. Ben Franklin flying a kite with a key on it. Oh, and the electricity. And it's like, come on, man. Come on. It's like the story with the farmers fighting off the British Army seems more real, even though we know that's another it's just a fairy tale. And thinking people seem like outcasted when we talk about something like that. It's just really crazy, man. It's really crazy to think of that. Like Alexis, he brought that up, man. It makes so much sense. It's like they reoccur that farming story. Oh, farmers. So Native American tribes that were warriors get rolled over by the U.S. Army, but you know they get rolled over by the British. But magically, these farmers were able to fight off the British in some valiant Revolutionary War. Really? And then the Vietnam farmers, oh yeah, you know, they fought off the U.S. Army. Technological type of stuff now. You're going into the 60s. So, you know, this is a time after World War. You look at what happened in World War II and all this crazy stuff. And again, like the farmers. Oh yeah, the farmers, you know, the farmers did that. The Afghanistan, you know, the guys, you know, they're throwing poppy plants at them. And that's how they won. And people, as a matter of fact, print it in a textbook and teach it for the next couple of decades. And people will grow up believing it, just like they believe in the religion of evolution. The fairy tale that they tell in those books, man, people will recite that. There's so many videos on YouTube. I mean, when I look at they found this sponge, you know, and these are from 650 million years ago. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You have to be. And they're not kidding. You got to look at the fake professor guy, Dave. You talking? That's like high level buffoon. High level buffoon. Yeah, everything we told. If we don't think, it's hard to decipher it. It's easy to eat it up. There's no doubt about it, Calix. And Alexis is on such a he is clearly top survivor in the zombie apocalypse. The fact that he brought up that farmer thing is so real. The story that a bunch of men in caves were able to plan an attack. Oh yeah, you're so right. The Pentagon is just hilarious to think of. Yeah, it is hilarious, bro. Yeah, and it boggles the mind that people would believe that, to say, hey, you know what? Everybody gather close. Let me tell you this fairy tale, man. This dude in the cave did that, you know? Abraham Lincoln. And see, this is how they twist the words. He freed somebody. No, if this is how it really is, he released the prisoners. The kidnapped victims were released. Now, somebody won't look at Abraham Lincoln as such a good guy. It's like, wait a minute, you kidnap people and then release them? It's like, what type of monster are you? And then to find out that Tom Hanks and George Clooney are related to Abraham Lincoln's mother. So they're a descendant, that they are directly related through his mother. And these guys seem to be gatekeepers. Tom Hanks, straight, I mean, I think he had one time, I don't know if it was Twitter or something, he was saying everybody kept calling him a PDF file on there, that he stopped using it. I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram. And Looney Clooney, of course, they pushed him like so much. He was everywhere. They're acting like, oh, Clooney. And it's like, find out he's a descendant of Abraham Lincoln. He is like a distant cousin or something like that. just when we look at this, we start to say, whatever is doing this, whatever's behind the scene is using certain humans, or maybe they're not humans. Maybe these are the NPCs that take orders without question. And we look at them and we say, no, that's a human being. But in nature, we see that things will mimic other things. They will mimic other things. We do see this. We see that parasites can control the brains of insects. We see, and animals too. The toxigandhi, I think is Toxoplasma gondii, I think it is. It's a parasite that when rats, I think they get it from crossing over or inhaling it from, or getting it from, I think, cat feces or like urine. And then when they get it, right, it does something to the brain to where they're not afraid of cats, and they actually go to try to get eaten by a cat, which repeats the cycle. It goes through the cat, and then the rat eventually picks it up again, and that's the cycle of it. It can also infect humans. They said it makes humans very promiscuous. So, matter of fact, let me look that up. Toxoplasma gondii, right? Makes humans so promiscuous. Let me see. Yes, look at that. Yes. Research suggests Toxoplasma gondii, toxo infection, is likely to increase sexual promiscuity in humans, with studies finding higher rates of infections and antibody levels in promiscuous individuals, possibly because the parasite manipulates the host to appear more attractive and alters neurotransmitters like dopamine and testosterone to increase mating behaviors. This is some movie stuff right here, but it's reality. It's actually reality. Alexis says, I believe they keep using the farmer story because it represents the underdog. America is obsessed with movies involving underdogs winnings. Yes, exactly. That is the farmer story, bro. I'm so glad you brought that up, man. The underdog movies are mindset and mind control devices used to brain Americans into thinking if they work hard enough, they will become rich, unlike those who are born rich. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely, if hard work made somebody rich, every farmer in the world would be rich. So we know it's part working smart, and there's certain times it's like driving a car. You don't keep the pedal to the metal the whole time. You press it, you release it, you coast. You have to slow down. You have to. It's a combination. So just hard work. That again, yeah, you're right. It's the fairy tale. It's not a sickness that makes you look better. I'll read it again. It's something like, and that's kind of odd that they did put that there. Let me see. In studies, the parasite manipulates the host to appear more attractive or alters neurotransmitters like dopamine and testosterone. Now, could it have something like with, I would say more attractive, and I'm just going out on a thing here. When women get into certain cycles, their lips appear more red, their cheeks appear more red. It gives off like those mating signals. Possibly, I'd have to look into this study a lot more deeper. It says here, okay, if evidence linking Toxoplasma gondii to promiscuity, right? Higher seroprevalence. Studies show people with a history of promiscuity has significantly higher rates of toxo antibodies. So it shows that. Increased attractiveness. Infected individuals, particularly women, may be perceived as more attractive. So that could be that it makes the lips redder. It gives those signals that women do have that, like their lips will appear more red. This is why a lot of them wear red lipstick and stuff as a mimic, a placebo type of thing, to attract, because men will see that and it'll trigger something to say, wait a minute, she's ovulating, as a part to if she's not wearing it. And infected men might show traits like lower facial asymmetry. I got to look into that are sexually attractive, potentially increasing partners. Man, I better not. You have these guys looks maxing trying already to get infected with this, so they thinking they can look better. Neurochemical changes. It produces enzymes, dopamine synthesis. The fact that it can do all of this is just off the handle. It can even increase testosterone in infected males, which might heighten sexual drive. Well, of course it does. We see that. And the strategy it goes into, just the fact, and this is just one of the parasites they know about. So again, the illusion of modernization is that they know everything. So they know, there's a parasite that does that. So I guess there's only one parasite. There's no other parasite until they tell me there's another parasite. You got some people that wouldn't believe this if you talk to them, even if they looked it up. They'd be like, oh, but if the government says it, then okay, it becomes truth. That's the weirdest thing. That's the odd thing, that if the government says it, it becomes truth. When I think about that alone, it's like that some people will refuse to hear the truth just because it comes from you. So everybody should think about that we can say something that's true to somebody else, and just because it comes from us and the way they feel about us, they're not going to take it as true. They're going to refuse to accept it. They have to hear it from the right person. We see this with political zombies. If they don't hear it from their political candidate, it ain't true. Matter of fact, they can hear a lie from their candidate and believe it is true. And we do see that. We see people forget, like, I can't even believe how it's like that thing from Men in Black, the neuralizer. They press it, boop, and then the next thing you know, straight zombie. They forgot everything and it goes reset. They're working on technology. If they're working on technology, they say they are like that, it's already been produced 40 years ago. It's a blue light technology. I got to look for the, let me see, blue LED. I think it was blue LED light tech that erases mice memory. Okay, so we have that. We got Jamal up in the house. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
What's up?
Just hanging,
What's up?
bro.
Good evening. Good evening. I mean, you guys are talking about this whole like American history, man. It's just it's all of a facade, man. I don't even think that none of this crap even happened. Where like the whole like a bunch of you know untrained like farmers were able to fight off the world's largest military at the time. It doesn't make any like fundamental sense. You know, but what that is that's a zombie that's what mind control us nowadays. Where you got these Second Amendment zombies who say, "Yeah, man, we can stand a chance against the like government because they look at the whole American Revolution zombie thing where you have a bunch of farmers that took on the nation military, then they're going to think, oh, I can take on the nation's military. It's complete zombie, completely zombie, man. It's just, it's a fairy tale, is what it is. It's a story, and it's a story that people think is real, which is the funniest part about it. Is people legitimately think that this this underdog story, as Alexis was mentioning in chat, that these are real stories. It's just it's just insane, and you know the zombies they just take it in. They just like consume it.
Yeah. Yeah. Alexis really brought up a good point with that, man. It's like the fact that we have zombies that will put that. I think we got a new person here. Just let me check. Put up the thing. Where's the thing? Neurojack, who are you?
Hello. I've heard about you through some other people who've been on your panel, like Machine Wise and people like that. So,
Anything on your mind?
well, I saw you guys were talking about some stuff recently, and about Nick Fuentes, for example. I thought I would join and kind of see what you guys talk about. I don't go on that many panels anymore because most of them seem to be pretty rigged. So I thought I'd try it. I just see what you guys are about.
Pretty rigged, like how?
Well, that's a long story, I would say, but more or less that you can't really you can't really critique the deeper levels of what's going on very easily without people shutting you down, I would say.
What's your thoughts on Nick like Fuentes though?
Yeah. Now remember, we can't curse on here, and we got to be careful and abide by YouTube's guidelines. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I know the situation. I've been around
Yeah.
the block,
Yeah, we're not trying to
unfortunately.
sequester you or anything in any way. We just keep it respectful here. You know.
Yeah, no, I get that. I wouldn't come on if I didn't get that impression.
So,
But
are you like a pro Nick Fuentes, or in between, or like what's the deal with Nick?
I have nuanced feelings about him. I definitely don't trust him or like him, but probably for different reasons than most people who don't trust him or don't like him, I would say. Uh, I don't think he's fully genuine, but I don't think he's fully disingenuous either, I guess I would say. So I think there's a sophisticated thing going on with him.
Really?
What
Well,
like do you
yeah.
like what do you agree with him on?
Yes, Calix has seen me before. He can let you know I won't do anything too
Okay.
outrageous.
So Kalex, he's
But
cool. Kalex, he says neuro crack because you're called Neurojack, and he called you
yeah.
neuro crack. It seems like
Well,
you guys know each other. Yeah, and he's a complete political zombie. I have to admit, Alexis is totally. He said neuro's cool though. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think any of that stuff at face value. I think it's a lot more complicated than it seems in the surface. Like I don't know what you're feeling about like, you know,
Oh,
I
don't worry, we
guess
got
yeah,
Jamal here. Jamal will give you the replicant test from Blade Runner. Don't worry.
no, I get you. But what I mean is like, he says that some people are ruling over us, and I don't think it's really that important, like what side of that argument you fall on. I don't even think it's really that important if you think that we're, pro socialism or pro capitalism or pro communism or whatever. I mean, those things matter, but not as much as other things. I would say so I think you
What
know.
other things? Like,
Well, I mean, I think the whole racial tension thing is, you know, mostly a smokescreen, I would say. Like, I don't know about you, but the way I grew up in the South, people got along pretty well in my experience. So like this whole racial tension thing seems pretty like
stage?
forced and
Yeah.
staged. Yeah. So
Mhm. Yeah.
and so but I do think that there's value in pushing people to talk about these things in a more aggressive manner, I guess I would say, because frankly, I think that pretending that everybody's the same is just as dangerous as pretending everybody is the same, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah, no, we got to learn to you appreciate people for difference, or just acknowledge that, and to say that everybody's the same, it zombifies you. It makes you think that okay, uh, kumbaya, everybody's sitting around, doing the hippie thing. When diversity is the spice of life, man. Difference. What do you want? All trees to be oak trees? No, we like the pine trees. We like fruit trees. We like trees, maple trees. All these other differences. Difference in people is cool, but they use it to definitely turn people on each other. They definitely do that. I mean, you look at the whole civil rights thing. Now, of course, when you look at some of the stuff that happens, a normal person would say, yeah, you kind of need something. But when you look back at the Rosa Parks thing, right? Rosa Parks' husband had a car. Anybody can look that up. So you wonder, you say, well, wait a second. And then there was a darker skinned woman who the same incident happened, but they didn't bring it on her because nobody would have cared. Because as we see one thing, and this is not baiting into any racial thing, there is like a caste system. It's an invisible caste system in America and around the world. India is a little more open about it, and that's not to say that poor people of different colors, that somebody would say, oh, well, you see, it's to blame these people. No, we're all getting our clock cleaned by the government. It's like Alexis said, they got us believing these stories that a group of farmers beat off the British Army. And this is like some of the lies that it's like, both black, white, native, Indian, Chinese, everything in between are being played. And they're being played by governments. See, over here, we get really deep. Now, I don't know what they might have, like, what would you say? They censored you on other channels or something?
Well, I'll definitely get into that. I'll give you an example, right? So,
like, was it for cursing, or was it just that you had a different opinion?
No, nothing like that. I mean, here's the thing: is like once you start talking about these issues, and you don't toe the line of like picking a side, people automatically assume, well, that means you're a communist, or you're a liberal, or you're conservative, or you're a racist, or you're a Nazi, or whatever.
Yeah.
So people will automatically assign whatever they see in their head because you're not saying what they want you to say. You know what I mean? So
what majority? So did you have the majority of the people that tried to label you? Were they from like the liberal side or the conservative side? Like what's the ratio of them saying, okay, you don't think like us, so we don't like you? What was it? Something like that? More from liberal or conservative?
Well, here's the ironic part. So this is where it gets really weird, right? So like when people call me a Fed or people call me a Nazi or whatever, it doesn't really bother me because like, if that's the character that people want to assign me in order to, get my point across, then it's fine. The problem is typically when someone does that, right? Particularly on the left. And just to answer your question, I would say it's 50-50 but here's the weird part about it. So it's like the liberals, they'll just shut you down and say your opinion doesn't matter because you don't make people of another color a special victim status, right? So they'll say, well, that makes you a Hitler lover or something, right? Or on the other side,
a Hitler. Okay.
Yeah, or on the but what's weird about the right?
Careful. Yeah, no racial slurs, no threats, no doc.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, of course.
So we just stay within YouTube guidelines. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we can say. So, Mr. Mustache is what I'll say. So on the right side, it's different because, I'm really, honestly, like I think people on the right side will listen more. Like I think they're more open to conversation. So I try to do stuff made for them because I'm just like I was convinced that they're willing to listen, right? But what I realized is that people on both sides are ultimately not really willing to think of things on a higher level because it's just uncomfortable for them, right? Like it's too complicated to look that both sides are playing off of each other for a greater game, if that makes any sense, right? Like you said about American history, for example, right? Like, even if it's true that the British were fought off by the Americans, that's not the end of the story by any means. Like, I typically say that by the time of the Civil War in the United States, America was already defeated, right? America, like the Civil War was the end of the American experiment, in my opinion, right? Like, whatever realness there was prior to 1865. By 1865, that was the beginning of the end. And I would say by the end of World War II, it was completely done. Right
No. The
now,
Civil War was changing the experiment. So it changes the parameters on the experiment. It says, okay, we did this, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to implement a new religion, the religion of evolution, which will be the state's religion. And we're going to act like, again, we're going to write these magical words like the natives would say. They write something on a paper, think that it has a magical power, saying you own something or whatever. So when you look at it, you say the Emancipation of Proclamation is written. They have more deaths recorded, I guess, than any other war. All the wars combined, you have more deaths in the Civil War against brother, right? People against people. And now you have the religion of evolution to come in. So even though slavery is so-called emancipated through the Emancipation of Proclamation, there's an extreme prejudice that's created, a scientific form, a pseudo-scientific form of racism. And we've talked about it here many times on the show. The name of the book, On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. What they leave out is the second part of the title, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Now, if they would have called that the second title, people would see this book for what it is. If it was titled The Preservation of Favored Races, well, who are the favored races? What is a race, right? Well, what is that? Well, they'll say, yeah, well, there's races, there's different races. And this, when I think about it, is really how they pushed this theory, this whole religion of evolution.
and would you say that I'm trying to think of the right term. Would you say that Marxism is definitely like I would say that Marxism is like a codex for that religion, if that makes any sense? Like,
part of it. Yeah. Part of it. Didn't he let like 2 of his children starve to death or something like that? I'm not sure of the facts on that, but I did.
Something like that. I mean, it's definitely complicated, but when I say Marxist, I mean like postmodern, like the whole shebang. Like, I don't mean only Marx. I mean like everything that's like, I think that we're living in a total Marxist world.
So like
combined
Leninism and Stalinism and stuff like that.
Trotsky, like I think Trotskyism is extremely underappreciated of like how important Trotskyism is in the current situation we're in.
Well, I mean, the world is like a big experiment, and a couple of people have touched on this. I remember Ike touched on it about 30 years ago, and I have a friend who's a medical doctor. And when I met him in 2001, I was telling him, I said, yeah, I was reading this review in the magazine Atlantis Rising, and it mentioned David Icke. And he goes, you got to read Icke, man. And I said, oh, all right. I said, I checked it out. It gets a little out there. But the good thing that he points out is that he always said, I never understood how such a small island, because he's from the Isle of Wight off of Britain, could conquer the world. He goes, there's just no way. And that's when he started realizing the reptile worship all over. Now, according to YouTube guidelines, I stay within that. This is my opinion, that Alan Watts even said it better, or Alan Watt, not the philosopher, the other guy from Scotland, I think. He said that he goes, the plan is to rule the world and use Britain as the nucleus. Before Britain was the nucleus, it was Rome. Before that, it was Greece. Before that, it was Egypt and Sumer. They try to switch and say Sumer, is older than Egypt. But I have heard theories of saying that they want people to think Sumer is older because they don't want Egypt to be known as that technological ancient tech because of its location, because now, you know, we do see things where in America, it's like they try to pit one people against each other. So if they see that there's genius in people across the board, then it's hard to play people against each other with the color of their skin. They're not going to look at somebody as being less than. But the theory of
Right.
evolution, yeah, brings that in, you know, in a way that people still till this day believe that, oh, well, these people are closer to the fictional ape man that they say exists, that, you know, that's basically their messiah, the missing link. It's coming. It's only been 180 years and about 10 different forgeries to try to say this is it. That alone should raise the eyebrow to say, wait a minute, people forged skeletons to say that that was an ape man and got caught. And it's like, yeah.
Right. No, I agree with you on that. No, I agree. And I think, yeah, it's a very complicated thing. And I pretty much agree with everything you said. Ike is a big influence on me as well, because I think he tells you, like, I'm not saying that like everything I'm saying is literally true. He's kind of speaking in code a lot. If you read his books, he's very careful with what he's saying.
Yeah, he got
And
sued a couple years ago. Had to pay, I think, £110,000 to somebody. I don't know if it was a royal family member, but he was going around calling a lot of people reptiles. But I mean, that's not really, to me,
right,
due course to sue a guy for that. It was sad. But yeah, I mean, I don't believe anything. I think about it and I say, okay.
right. No, I get it. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think he's useful. I think he's useful to describe. He says it himself. He says, "Look, I'm not saying like believe what I'm saying or take it literally, but he's like, if you see what I'm saying in form, you'll get the gist of like a way of looking at the world." And I think he's been pretty clear of like what he's trying to say. But also the thing you're saying about the Brit, like I agree with you. Like personally, I don't think you know, the Egyptian Empire or the Roman Empire or the British Empire ever truly went away. It's very clear that there's a, you know, let's say secret religion that takes many different forms over a long period of time. And they have like an exoteric version for, you know, the normal people, and then they have like a esoteric version for the people who know, and a myriad of cults in and around all of that, you know, obviously. So that's very clear, I would say. But you know, allegedly, I mean, I'm not saying that like, I'm not saying it like I'm
Yeah.
right, but
In your opinion, basically.
in my opinion, right? Yeah, because I know that we're on YouTube, and I'm sure people will take this and spin it in a way, but I think we're on the same page relative to that. But this is where I would say, like, to go back to Nick Fuentes for a second. The reason I find him useful is that it's very clear that, you know, as much as we want to believe that people may have the same potential or the same, in some sense of the word, they have the same potential for morality or intelligence or all these things. And I do believe that is the case, right? Like I don't judge somebody based on, you know, color of their skin or something. However, what I do say is that, you know, oftentimes you'll find that, um, you know, a lot of people don't care about your altruism, right? Like they've been given a mission to hate you and they're going to enforce it, you know, because whatever reason, right? And so I think it's kind of useful to people like Fuentes as far as uh, showing that some people are not genuine in their belief in liberalism or altruism or something like that. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't
But
mean
yeah,
that I'm
it kind of
just being
reminds
honest.
me of the Lyndon
Yeah,
B. Johnson thing. If you can convince the lowest white guy that he's higher than the highest black guy, you can pick his pockets without him noticing. And the fact that Johnson, a Southerner who wasn't known for his fairness, was definitely a puppet, to say that, or maybe somebody else said it and credited to him, that it makes sense because we say, okay, let's see if that's real. And when you look in throughout history and society, it's an easy way. Like look at the this guy that just started the all-white community in Arkansas or something, right? There's also a lot of cults over there. There's a lot of PDF file stuff going on, right? But we'll leave that to the side for right now, right? Wouldn't it make sense? Because I said to myself, I said, hey, that'd be a really good money grab for somebody. If they say it could be a black guy that buys the acreage of lands and gets a white guy like Orville or whatever his name is, Orville, the blonde guy that runs it, and to say, look, we're going to buy this stuff for dollars on the acre, $500 an acre. And you're going to say it's going to be an all white community. And you can get these suckers who think they're better than somebody because of the color of their skin to pay 10 grand an acre, and they'll pay it. They'll be like, oh, yeah, we get away from other people and it's going to be us, right? It's a perfect, it adds up to what LBJ was saying. If you can convince the lowest guy of one type that we're saying to think he's better than the highest guy of another type, you can pick his pockets without him even noticing. And I'm surprised that nobody has caught on to that with that guy.
Well,
and you're living up in the boonies too. I mean, the Ozarks are known for some very weird stuff going on. And this is not to say anything against anybody of any creed, white, black, whatever. This is to say how easy it is to sucker somebody into getting basically how they rip these people off because they play the race grift.
Right, exactly. Well, it happens on all sides for that. And
the black guys that are race grifters. Look at the guy who building the school for the last 11, 15 years or something, Umar. And of course, their names are never that. They always had a regular name and then they changed it. And he's been grifting black people for a while. And you got people that still put it. Anybody trying to set you against your fellow person, you should question that person. You should question their motives.
So I think I'll say something a little controversial, and this is not just to be contrarian or to disagree with you. And I'm not going to say anything against terms. I don't think so. But so let me put it like this, right? It's like, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate to make the point, right? But there's also this thing where, like, okay, like I grew up in the South, right? Hold on one second. Yeah, so I grew up in the South, and I never really had to deal with any racial issues or tensions. I mean, everybody I knew I pretty much got along with, you know. So I didn't really experience anything that negative. So I never had to worry about that stuff. I mean, really. And but having said that, like, clearly when you see what's happening, whoever it is pushing this very like victim mentality on certain groups and on whites as well. And so they're definitely playing the stuff up where it seems that, there are some real problems of trying to live in a kumbaya state when there's clearly a lot of people who have no interest in doing so, right?
So we have people trying to set people against each other. Clearly, we see the agenda. We see, they're saying, okay, all of these people, like, they're going to commit more of this type of crime. And then another type of people are going to commit a different type. Like, if we look at statistics, they'll say, okay, these people commit violent crime. These other people have a very high rate of PDF files. And I noticed that when you overall, there's a crime problem that nobody wants to talk about. And this crime problem spreads through all different peoples. Some people might, and I heard one guy was saying that, oh, well, they don't make the corn for the PDF files. And I'm like, look, that's like the other side saying they don't make the guns for the crime that they commit. So don't bring that up, because, they'll try to make these arguments. And I'm like, look, this is not logical. You have a problem in America with people ending each other with weapons and people preying on children and watching these pictures. So this is a problem. And they'll say, well, these people, they're not doing it to the per capita and all of this, ignoring the fact that there's a serious crime problem. The other crime problem that's very hard for people to see because they're so zombified is that, when is the last time you heard of a politician in America going to jail? I can't remember.
Well, And there's a direct correlation between the things that you're talking about and the people that you're talking about, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, they're
there is.
very clearly rigging the system both on the black money and the gray markets, and in the quote unquote, regular everyday markets as well. So, that's one of the situations where, again, I'm trying to condense a lot down and trying to be completely general to try to, have
Mhm.
mercy on your channel. Because believe me, my channel's been, shadow banned for, not being as careful, right? And I'm pretty careful, but still, like, you can never be too careful, obviously, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would say it like this, like with the situation that you're referring to, right? Like, I don't blame, you know, YT people, as they now call it, right? Like, trying to separate themselves, right? I don't think it's going to work. I think it's delusional, but I do understand it, right? Now, again, me personally, it's not something that I'm going to go do, but I don't blame people for having that attitude because, like, it's not totally illogical, right? I mean, it's definitely they're definitely being tricked. They're definitely falling for a trick. They're definitely, not living in reality, right? But again, I don't think that that should be a surprise to people. Like, if we're living in so much deception as it is, and the people on the other side are, I mean, like, okay, like, for example, I was talking to a guy who's like mix of like Mexican and Irish, and he's like, well, you know, now that white people are losing power, I don't think they should ever ask for a damn thing when other people get power because they never in history gave people a hand up. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, so you're mixed, so you basically think that within you is this magic blood that makes you evil, and you're now projecting out on other people, saying like, well, white people have zero altruism and zero goodness in them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a bizarre framing, is it not? I mean, it's like it's a bizarre way to look at the world, but this is like the
Mhm.
things that are happening to people. And again,
Well,
like,
weren't there
yeah.
Irish and English slaves in America in like the
Oh,
1600s?
well, of course, but if you say that, I mean, these people were basically, and I was on a
We got
TikTok
to
panel
remember
recently.
now
Yeah,
when that person doesn't know that, and that's why I call the channel American Zombie. Is you got to remember, you got to be careful because this guy's on a level of zombification that it might not infect you, but it can wear you down. These
yeah, of
zombies will
course.
wear people down, bro. And I know you've experienced that.
Oh yeah.
They are relentless.
Well, it got worse because this guy was saying, "Well, I'm a conservative," and I was like, "You're definitely not a conservative. I mean, what are you conserving? You're basically, espousing Trotskyist propaganda, which which I had just brought up and explained to them, right? And they're like, and then he says all this. He's like, "Well, I own a business, and I'm a business owner, and I'm a property owner, and I like my tax cuts and this and that." I was like, "That's not what a conservative is. I mean, unless you want to get really technical and like it's just a different form of liberal that doesn't really believe in anything except
You know what
for
they say?
whatever." But
Um, a liberal is just a conservative before he gets mugged. That's
well,
how I
that's
see it.
I think that's what you're seeing happening right now on a large scale, and I think
Well,
that's
no,
kind of
it's
why.
like trying to tell people that look, these are a liberal is just a conservative before he gets mugged. Because as soon as the liberal gets mugged, now he turns conservative. It's the you ever see a
Right.
Clockwork Orange?
Yes. Yep.
And remember
Very
the guy that was
very
fighting
pertinent.
and all of that liberal, and then his wife gets raped by the guy who plays the lead. I forgot who it was again.
McDowell. Yeah.
Yeah,
McDowell. I forgot his
McDowell.
real name. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, he becomes just off the handle, just totally tyrannical off of that. So it shows how quickly somebody who's liberal will turn
Right.
conservative. But it
Well,
just shows you that they're both of them are puppets. It's like
right.
none of them is seeing that the crookery in government.
So that's what I think the role of Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos and Tim Pool and Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and all these different
I don't know.
figures.
Is Tim Pool conservative or liberal? Because I've heard of him, but I
Well,
never watched him.
I don't want to get into too much detail what I think with that, but I will definitely say that I think the term psychological operation fits into it, where
Yeah,
they're
all of
trying
them.
to they're
All of
trying to
them.
switch the term. They're trying to switch sides of, like, so for example, okay, and I'll be very careful with this because this is obviously a touchy subject. Okay, many years ago when they had the alt right, okay,
Mhm.
I enjoyed the humor of the early parts of that because I thought it was a conversation, much like I see Nick Fuentes doing today, right? Now,
Mhm.
very quickly, that turned into a very serious, people going to prison and stuff like that, and doing
Was
stuff
that the
that
January
went from a
6th thing?
joke to like very serious. Well, this is before that. This is like the
Okay, okay,
Charlottesville and all that kind of stuff. Okay,
okay,
and
okay.
and we can't really talk about that, but so I'm going to stay away from that. But
Wait, the
my
Charlottesville, was
point
that
is
the
that
Tiki Torch? Was that the Tiki Torch, or that was
yes,
DC or
correct, correct.
something?
So I was a fan of the alt right before that moment. After that moment, I was like, oh, I see. This was a setup the entire time. I was much
Mhm.
younger, so I didn't fully get it, right? So I saw the humor as a part of like this processing of the end of America as a generally quote unquote Western European Christian country, right? I didn't see it as we hate people who are different than us, right? I saw it as people processing like the like coming to terms with like they have been sold a lie. You know what I'm saying? And but my point is that the people that were calling all of us, Hitler, I mean, sorry, mean Mr. Mustache lovers, sorry. Those same people now are able to go and criticize that country in the Middle East that's our greatest ally. And nobody says anything bad to these people, right? Really. I mean, like there's a very low stake and cost for these people to say those things, right? But those are the people that try to get everybody fired and put in prison for like having an opinion about, you know, certain things that, we can't talk about. And I just find that incredible. Like to see the switch in 10 years of like the people were on one side before and now they're on another side today. And everybody acts like it's always been this way and nothing's ever changed. And
That's
if
the
you talk
zombie
about it, you're
apocalypse.
crazy.
That's
Right.
the
And I think,
zombie
yeah.
apocalypse. Yeah.
And I don't think,
You're seeing that what we're in is very close to like a zombie movie where people can
oh,
flip on a
definitely.
switch and just zombified right off the bat. Be like, holy smoke, 28 days later type of stuff.
Correct.
And the crazy thing
Yeah.
is, like you said, they can be on one side and then switch to the other side, which should tell us that there's something behind the scene, groups or whatever, that are flipping these switches, right? Because how do you make somebody switch from this ideology to this ideology? There's something that's going on. I don't know if it's electronic. I don't know if it's information. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something. Two wings of the same bird. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ashar. And good to see you too. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
And I definitely think a big part of it is just that people are fundamentally dishonest with themselves. And I think that's the beginning
They
of it.
are. Well, remember, if you lie to a friend, you lose your friend. You lie to yourself, you lose yourself. So these people are walking around lost because all they do is lie to themselves. And it's sad. That's why I feel pity for them. I don't feel anger. That's anger is like showing you're not as intelligent. So to exercise intelligence is to say, you know what? This is really crazy. I think Thoreau said it. He goes, look, be kind to everyone because we're all fighting a hard battle. And I find it hard sometimes when you think about it, because being kind is about maturity. And a lot of us still act immature. We always do it. There's nobody immune to ignorance and stupidity. They're always there on our shoulder, waiting to take us over. To be mature, to say, you know what? I want to look for a solution. Instead of, I got two choices when somebody does something. I can blame or I can look for the cause. So if this person did something, why did he do it? Why was that done? Whether it be a crime or something else that they do to themselves, drug use or something like that. And now we start raising up to a higher level because they try to tell us that an IQ test, the idiot quiz, is something on paper. The IQ test, to know if a person has a certain amount of intelligence, the intelligent quotient, is to just ask them simple questions like we're talking about. Say, hey, do you think that when people vote that they put the guy in office? Do you think that? Now if they say yeah, You don't have to argue with them. You say, okay. You know, I wouldn't even tell them that I don't vote, and I'm a United States veteran. I've never voted because I looked at that as, wait a minute, we get a day off. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not standing at no voting booth. The dollar isn't backed by gold. It's backed by lead and gunpowder. I knew that when I signed for my first 50 caliber. And it shows us I was okay with that because I experienced corruption when I was very young. And I kind of knew it, but then zombies would keep trying to pull you back into the country works, laws work. Government is one of the biggest fictions that was ever created. I don't know if you've ever read Larkin Rose's The Most Dangerous Superstition or Jeremy Locke's The End of All Evil. And I think
Yeah, I was big into Stefan Molyneux and Larkin Rose.
Well,
I was
I'm
pretty
not
familiar with a
sure.
lot of that stuff.
I think they banned Molyneux, right? A while ago.
Well, they did. He's now back,
He's back,
on
right?
some platforms, but
No,
yeah,
I
and
think he's
I
back
don't
on YouTube.
fully. He might be. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah, I
seen,
saw him,
but
but
he
it's
might
not.
be.
It's
Yeah.
like he was. Yeah, he's not like I don't know his full view. I think he went a little overboard, like with Lauren Southern wearing the shirts.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And then they found out that she had an ex-Muslim boyfriend. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, I think even worse than that, I'm pretty sure she's dating or has dated Destiny and maybe had a kid with him. So it gets even worse.
I always thought she looked like Christian Slater with a blonde wig. It was just for some reason.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and honestly, like when you start talking about some of the stuff, it's pretty dangerous to talk about. So
didn't they just expose that other girl, Lily Gaddis or something? They got her in a car with a picture with this black guy, like, you know, acting like, and he was like more of a Tyrone too, so it looked like he was clapping cheeks. But they it was something like that. And then she was trying to act all, again, she was doing the Lyndon B. Johnson, just like Lauren Southern. I don't know if Molyneux did it, but to say that they're going to play into the feelings of what these people want to believe in and say, hey, I'm on your side. And then that's how they make money off of them.
right.
It's like a grift.
Yeah. Well, it is, but I'll tell you, and this is where you get in trouble, and so I'm going to be very careful when I say this, but I would say that the hardest part about the grift situation is that, you know, the grift is one of the best covers for psychological operations, I would say, right? So like,
yeah,
they use because then if you call somebody a grifter, they're like, oh, good, you didn't call me a psychological operation, so I'll just say I'm a grifter.
That's actually a good way to hide it. We are so surveilled and have plants. I mean, believe me, we've had plants. Jamal, did you have something? I didn't know.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've dealt with plants and stuff, but you know, just basic plants from like people trying to grift. They don't realize that real plants, like government plants, do exist, in my opinion. We are in an age of such a level of psychological control that it's almost beyond comprehension. And that's just with the plants. That's not to mention the electronic manipulation.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And I think that's the thing is like 1984 was like a very basic precursor to all the things that we're now seeing. I mean, you know, we're well beyond 1984, but 1984 is still very
this is Brave New
relevant.
World. We remember what he said in Brave New World? I think he wrote something about you can't just like the concentration camp that you build for yourself. That's not good enough because you might want to escape. You have to love it. You have to live for it. And he said in the future, they won't even be bars. It'll be a pharmaceutical type of concentration camp that people will defend.
Well, and that's just if you can't accept it enough to go Zen mode and like really truly love it, right? I think there's a lot of people who are going to willingly love the slavery.
I think people
and I
might
think you're
be
seeing
Zen
that
mode now, in my opinion. Yeah, they might be Zen mode now. Right? Not a lot, but I see people that are like, my friend's girlfriend was saying that basically she's pro jab, he's not. And he was telling me, he goes, look, man, she tried to say something to the akin of that people should be forced. And I was like, holy smokes. I mean, that's what we're doing.
You know, and we had to deal with that during C-19. And I just remember,
I don't know if are you for that or not? the jab?
I mean, I'm definitely against it, but like I understand why people. I do understand where people are coming from, and they fall into that trap. But like during C19, I was extremely adamant against these people, but now I have sympathy for them. But
Yeah, yeah.
I also recognize they're extremely dangerous people,
Well,
obviously. But
we see, like we spoke of before, it becomes a point where you can even pity someone and say, look, this person is that traumatized. Kind of like Nietzsche said, nobody converts to a religion. You have to be mentally sick enough to accept it. So that saying is so deep and profound that you start to say, wow, a lot of the things, if, I'm not religious, but if someone is, just like the religion of evolution as well, that's a sickness in some people. And you start to say, yeah, the only way to even entertain that, to really search for truth, you gotta be very brave and courageous and be able to shift your thought without belief, because belief puts a mask over the face of reality, and it doesn't allow you to perceive the true reality because of the belief. So one of the biggest enemies psychologically is the belief. And the second one, or even the first one, could be the ego. And the ego is based on belief. So it's like, holy smokes, belief is some real crazy stuff when you look at it. Believe, if you can get somebody else to believe, that's how they master this. Power is totally psychological, 100%, bro. It totally you convince somebody that a government, a mind control, basically the word, is real. And you say, you know what? Governments need somebody in authority. So you vote me into authority. So now that I'm an authority, another fictional position, because why should I be able to tell you what to do unless I have knowledge to teach you something? Like say, okay, you don't know how to farm, I'm gonna show you how to do it. Take the plow, boom, this and that. If it's technical, or also spiritual or psychological, to be like, look, man, don't be, be cool. Don't be a mean person, and stuff like that. But as far as trying to tell you that I know better for you than you know, now in some things I might be able to do that, but if you're gonna do something that I can't prevent, I gotta, you have the freedom to do that. But if it's like, no, vote me into power with the other people, and now I'm gonna make another fictional thing called a law, and the law is gonna allow you to go against morality. It's going to let me legitimize violence and aggression and legalize it too. Legalize it. Just like in Tombstone. Remember that movie, Tombstone? It was a long time ago, decades ago, with Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell and stuff. And when Val Kilmer's character, Doc Holliday, was going to have a gunfight with Johnny Ringo, I think it was, played by the guy from the Terminator, the Kyle. And they had a beef before. And then this time he moves his jacket and shows the star, the sheriff or the marshal star. And he goes, this time it's legal. So in other words, I don't think the movie was trying to say something like, it could be, but it's showing how when you think you got now this mental psychological form of mind control to make it think because you're legal, because you have this star, this uniform on, that it makes it okay to do something horrific to somebody else. And a better example would be myself and other soldiers in the military, on what many soldiers have done that are horrific to people that did no wrong to them, because somebody else put a belief in their head. They programmed them. So when we look at the whole concept of authority, we start to think in a different way. And it can be frightening to some, because now daddy's not coming home now. You have to be a man. And that takes a lot of maturity. That takes a lot of maturity, man. I mean, yeah, okay, we could always look for like some spiritual type of, and something beyond the material exists scientifically, as well as stuff that we can talk to other people about and have opinions on. But yeah, I mean, the government and stuff, what's going on in the country and all of that, putting people against each other. Yeah, we can see that's happening. The zombies, I don't think are ever going to get that. And I don't think I think even trying to convince them is dangerous, because they can end up like you said with the other thing, like the people with the pro jab, they can be dangerous. Now you look at them and you say, okay, I kind of understand where they were at, but I think somebody said people showed you who they were during that thing. And when people show you who they are, you got to believe them. Because if you don't, now you open yourself up. Now you're living in a fantasy world. You say, wait a minute, did you see that you can't trust this person? And now you're trusting them? And I've done that many times on my streams on people that basically betray. And I'm like, look, I shouldn't let this person on again. Now I'm getting a little more firm with it. It's like, all right, somebody backstage that I know can't abide by the rules. It's like, all right, we got to chill.
Yeah, man. I mean, like when it comes to like who people are, like, like the whole jab situation really showed you what people really were like. I mean, you had people such as Trump out there pushing for you to take the jab, and then now you got Trump out here saying that the jab like was a scam and all that. But wait. You took the jab in 2020 when this happened, and then you pushed for others to receive the jab. But now he's
In
running
our
around
opinion.
here saying, yeah, in
In
our opinion. But now he's running around here saying that this whole thing is, that the
he-
jab was a scam, and he like gave back the like military members who like didn't receive
a
the
lot
jab,
of
get kicked
people,
out.
yeah, they had to leave the military, right?
Yeah, and he brought them back in, and then he comes in and saying, "Oh, I was always with you guys. I always said that this jab was a scam." But
Oh,
wait. No, he didn't. No, you did not. Though you took the jab and you pushed it on the American media and told American citizens to go and take the jab.
Yeah,
And people are eating it up. These people are eating it
yeah.
up, saying, "Oh, look, Trump is for like the people." But outside of Trump, though, you have these other instances where, like, you couldn't even if your grandma or your grandpa or your father or mother was dying in a hospital, you couldn't even see them. You couldn't even see them. They had to show you had to be outside, and then you would have to have the doctor walk up to her, "Hey, I'm sorry, but your loved one passed." You couldn't see them because of the COVID thing, but because of the
Well,
jab thing. My bad.
for some, I do remember some where you could go in New York, and it was sad, that they when I got sick, I remember, and it got to a point where I had to go to the Veterans Hospital, and I went to two hospitals in one day, and when I went to the local hospital, because I went to the Veterans Hospital because I'm covered, but I was like couldn't breathe, and then my friend called me an ambulance. He took care of it, and he goes, "I'll call them," and they came, picked me up. I went to the hospital. I remember the doctor asking me if I had the jab, and I was like, "No." And he goes, "Do you want it now?" And I couldn't believe it. I said, "What, are you crazy, man?" And he goes, "Oh, you're a veteran, because I have my ID." And he goes, "Put him in the room, and I'm gonna give him an EKG. If it comes back okay, we just send him home." And I'm like thinking it could happen any minute. And I saw the way they treated me. I was just like, holy smoke. Somebody else, this nurse, my friend's girl is a nurse, and she goes, "They're not allowed to do that when you come in." She goes, if they want to give you the potion, you got to do that when you're well, like in the state of emergency. And I said, these people are I mean, it's horrible. Though the medical zombies,
Well,
yeah, just
yeah, no, and I just want to back you up on that. I mean, this is like what set me on my, more serious political journey, I guess you'd say, or not even political, but I guess philosophical, whatever, it's all
Mhm.
related. Is, I wanted to be, I mean, I've never really been like super scientific or anything. I was really good at math and
Right.
and like English and stuff like that. But I was like, well, maybe I want to do some science and like try to do like longevity and nutraceuticals, and so I tried to go do like biochem and stuff like that. And I found myself drawn to the more like bioethics classes, right? And if you want to get freaked out, go read some bioethics and go try to learn bioethics. I mean, the medical industry is, you know, we can't get into it obviously, but it's very dangerous, and it plays off of people's preconceptions about what a doctor is, what you know,
Well, it's
all
all
these things are
orchestrated.
essentially.
It's all orchestrated. Like I hear what Jamal was saying, because in some places they weren't letting people go in there, but other places I did see where they were like, my sisters and uncle, they were allowed to go in.
Yeah,
So
I
on
got very
both,
lucky. I got
yeah.
very
But
lucky. I ran into good doctors for the most part, but
well,
there was
I mean, I have
definitely
friends
exceptions.
who are medical doctors and DDSs, and we spoke, over 20 years. I mean, and aware to the point where my friend, the MD, right, when 9/11 happened, he was the only one, and it was like, hey, come in the office, close the door, we talked, and it was like, holy smokes. So other people I couldn't talk to for a few years because they were that zombified, or they were still kind of on the fence.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm saying to myself, are you out of your mind? It's like, you see already the lies and stuff.
So
When somebody lies to you, something, that's one of they're showing you who they are. Now, if you continue to trust them, you already know it's your fault. But if you're smart enough, you're dealing with a liar now. Now, and most people think they're smart enough, and this is why they get burnt by liars. But if you can be psychologically smart enough, a liar will fall into a lot of traps.
exactly. Yep, I agree with you. And
Yeah.
so here's where the games are really afoot, I would say. And I'm gonna talk about, again, things that I really shouldn't, but I'll be very careful. And it's nothing that like YouTube's gonna pick up on, I don't think, but it's more like just things that are dangerous to talk about. For example, right? Like what you're saying about like, 9/11 and stuff like this. Like, I would put it like this. Like, I think that they're running psychological operations, but it's not purely to make you take a medical procedure or something like that. It's just data about psychology. Like, now that we've run this experiment on the entire world, we have a test group, we have a
Oh,
control
yeah.
group, we have this. Now we have data
Well, that's what I
that's,
was saying
if
earlier,
that
that
makes sense.
China rules their population in a certain way, and they get information on how the people respond. Russia does it a little less iron curtain. America has a whole different experimental paradigm, probably the most unique one in the world, because we're, and like you said, I see. I think we were talking about this earlier, that when they experiment on us, then they get the results on how we respond. And then they do another experiment and another experiment. But as far as the zombie spectrum is concerned, that I had made this spectrum here, when you get the political one, because now we're seeing, okay, it's all political. They're setting people against each other. Now they hit you with the food. The food is definitely something that's zombifying people. Religion, they mix politics and religion and food, you get a triple spectrum zombie right there. I mean, just even
Right.
I mean, and then you add in the medical zombie. So now you're getting
Right.
somebody that's almost fully zombified. School has zombified many people. Some people are
Yeah. No,
traumatized.
this is a good graphic, by the way. I'm going to steal it. So I'm just
I
taking a
appreciate
screenshot.
it. Yeah, I
Pretty
wrote it.
quick.
I
Yeah.
created this for American Zombie if I ever published a book, but I'm publishing a book on human origins coming out in a few days. So that's one of the things I thought was much more important. But the zombie spectrum, and I go even in depth. So this thing right here, this is the main zombie spectrum, right? When you look across it, going vertically downward, I continued the spectrum. That's this one. So
Okay.
from family, friends, in the family, of course, you got the father, the mother, the brother, the sister, if you have one. And then that goes deeper. But like friends, you have virtual friends, you have personal friends, you have societal friends, work associated, and sexual friends. So then you go into
Right.
the food, you got
Yep.
dairy, bread, soda, candy. And as you go to media, you have movies, music, television, and internet. And remember, all of this comes from the basic top 8 main categories. So 8 main categories gets into the zombie spectrum, with the subcategories going down vertically. In the middle, the yellow one, media, if we take that, movies, music, television, internet, then I expanded it into this. So now it's vertical on the left. You see the movies, the music, the television, the internet. But on the right, the type of movies: drama, romance, comedy, horror, sci-fi, and there's many more. Those are the subdivisions of this subcategory just in the movie section, showing that there are certain drama movies that zombify people, romance movies, horror movies, and then
Right.
it would go deeper. So like we go to the next one, music. You got rap, rock, pop,
Right.
techno, country, many more. But in
Right.
those ones, you got like heavy metal, hard rock, soft rock, light rock, death metal, rap. You got all these different ones, drill rap, all to zombify you, And
And a
that
lot
was
of the tech, and a lot of the tech is like sorting. So it's like just is trying to like collate all the data and sort you into different categories and subcategories and subcategories and but also like try to test and see like, okay, like why does this person from a totally different background marry or find this person that has virtually nothing in common with? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's
Mhm.
kind of where they're at now with this whole
You might
situation that they're trying
digitize a
to
little. I
push
don't
on
know
people.
if,
And I have
if you
something I
know.
wanted to add to that, but I don't know if I'm
You might
still on the
digitize a
screen.
little on that last stuff. Can you hear me?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I couldn't hear like the last maybe 15 seconds. It was digital. Are you there? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me still. But yeah, AP 530, man, the Human Origins book, bro. That to me is so important. I was gonna work on it tonight, but it's already like 1 something in the morning. It just but I was going over some of the other stuff on that LED, um yeah, the microphone matrix. Oh, he's back. Neurojack. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Okay, it
just have
sounds a
bad
lot better.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I
it
just
was
have bad service. So
digitizing. Yeah, it was I couldn't hear
yeah.
about 15 seconds it digitized. So if
Yeah,
you remember.
I'm notorious for this problem. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's StreamYard mostly because whatever, something about StreamYard on my phone
Oh,
never gets
all
along
right.
very well.
Yeah, if you're on a
So
phone, yeah, definitely.
yeah, and I'm underneath a covering, so it's kind of shorting out the signal, I think. But yeah, and so I was just saying, yeah, I think they're definitely trying to like categorize and figure out like why are people behaving and you know what makes people connected and all this. But another thing I wanted to mention, just because this is another you know crypto taboo subject, I would say, which is Scientology, for example, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you look at who's around Trump, I think Scientology is a much underestimated influence in America, as well as Mormonism.
Mhm.
And I don't know exactly what that means or whatever. I think it's remarkable, and I think it's remarkable that
So
people are not
just
remarking upon it, if that makes any sense.
so you're saying, in your opinion, that Mormonism and Scientology are bigger, or bigger being in able to control stuff from behind the scene type of bigger, or like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, and I think Scientology in particular is a lot more influential, right? Like a lot of people think it's just like this weird, religion or something like that. And I think that's part of it, but also I think it's like it's also like a methodology, right?
Mhm.
And I think it goes into what we're talking about as far as like programming people, right?
Mhm.
And for example, like if you look at Full Metal Jacket by Kubrick, right? Like I don't think it's directly about Scientology, but Kubrick was was very aware of like Scientology, I'm sure, right? Like he's very like his daughter was in Scientology, right? So I'm just saying, like, I think, this it's one of these things like people just don't really talk about it, and I just find that remarkable, I guess.
Oh, Scientology. I mean, I think his grandson, L. Ron Hubbard, because I see that book all the time when I was a kid, the Dianetics. I think
Yeah, it was
his
popular in
great
the 90s
grandson,
too.
yeah, not his grandson, his great grandson, you can find on YouTube. He goes around preaching on how his great grandfather was a fraud, and that he tells a story about the money and all of that. I mean, it could be a lie, or it could be, I mean, Scientology has gripped so much people that I wouldn't put it past being like a CIA operation or something from way back. I mean, because if they tell us the CIA is established in the 50s, then we know it probably goes back to the 1910 or something like that. It's always 50 to like 70 years behind. And it seems unbelievable. But if we look at something like, say, the movie Metropolis that came out in the 20s, it was basically an android. This movie has like turning a female into a female android that can give birth to workers and stuff like that. If I'm
Right. Yeah.
interpreting correctly, and that's the 20s. The 20s. They already now. As crazy as that might seem, if you look back into history, you start to see there are mentions of robots in Greece in the midst of Talos that would guard the island. I don't know if you ever. I think they had it in.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen the movie, but I do think that, for example, like the fact that Francis Ford Coppola tried to remake that movie and like lost a bunch of his money to remake that movie.
Mhm.
You're onto something. I would just say that much. Like exactly what's going on, I don't know, but like things like that matter, right? Like these people are not just making movies that cost $500 million or whatever, like
I
for
think it
fun.
could be
You
a
know what I'm
way to
saying?
launder too, like making movies and saying that it costs this much. It's an easy way to launder money. It's like a lot of stuff we see in in high amounts of money is I mean, yeah, it's brutal. Like when you look at it, you start to be like, wow, there's a whole different law. If you just know how to like word things, or like,
Right.
if you bought a house and you put it in a trust, so in 10, 20, 30
Exactly.
years, the house is worth 200, it's worth half a million or more dollars more than you paid for it. That's really what happened to people that bought houses in the 70s to say now. So now you're looking at 50 years and the house is worth six, 700,000, $800,000 more money because of the location and because of the interest. If you don't have it in a trust and you want to give that house to someone, you have to pay a tax on that. But in the trust, you're safe. The whole $800,000 is yours. So the $800,000,
Right.
and just that little thing of knowing how to put it in a trust, or knowing how to open an LLC or an S corp, and then uh, just network. I mean,
Right.
when you see, that's the thing that makes me believe. Well, it's not even a belief, because it's saying, okay, the business works that way. And the more you can do certain things. Like other people I used to know used to get grants. Because one of my friends went to college for like 12 years after we got out the army. And I remember he became like a high level dental researcher. I remember he had to take lab rats, and they did something with the teeth to check a substance called orthodontoblast. And he did all his stuff. And the level of education, when I look at that, it's just yeah, he always used to tell me to go to college, but I think that I saved myself in a way. Trade school I
Yeah.
can see, but yeah, college,
No,
yeah.
when you get into college, I mean, it's one of these things like it's a double-sided sword in the fact where like if you want to get into the power structure, it's the only way you can in some senses. On the other hand, the things that you have to give up to get into that power structure you have to lie to yourself. I mean, there's just no way around it, right? And I mean, you may keep a part of yourself along the way, but if you actually take the ticket and then become, whatever you have to become, it's going to cost something, right? Like, some piece of your humanity is going to have to be
Everything.
exchanged for that little piece of
Everything's
power.
going
You
to
know what
cost
I mean?
something,
So
man. Everything is going to hurt you. You just got to figure out what's worth suffering for. So,
I
and
agree.
that's a hard one for me to deal with because it was originally like everybody is going to hurt you. So you're just going to have to figure out who's worth suffering for. But as I, go through life, you start to see, man, everything, you got to be careful. It's like you really, I'm going to change the name when I come out with the book to a different name. T-Raf, brother, thank you for the support, bro. Love the energy, MT. Keep going. Thanks, bro. Yeah, every day, brother. Every day at night, come home. Yeah, I appreciate the support, bro. Thank you. And the Shar, yeah, unique, just like everyone else. I mean, this is great to be able to speak with people on the internet that are aware and know what's going on, and to see how how hard it is to find people that are not zombified. But yeah, with the Human Origins book, I'm thinking about changing the name because American Zombie, you already saw some of the charts and stuff. I'm just going to release it or make videos for it, which will be easier because I do got to start doing audiobooks. Everybody's telling me that, I do have these 2 books up on Amazon, and yeah, I think I might have to read them off, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, I think just making everything as accessible as possible. And that's something I'm trying to get better at. I mean, I've
Mhm.
really just put out a bunch of work on YouTube for free for the past few years, and it's good and all, but I think really like distribution is always king. Like we need to, and I think this is kind of why I came on here today. Is like, all of us who are trying to do what we're doing, we have to start promoting each other. We have to start helping each other get better at finding distribution and getting more likes and shares and subscribers and stuff. Not out of ego, but for the purpose of trying to do this seriously. I mean, of course, we're gonna run into
Yeah, yeah.
road bumps, but I mean, we've already a lot of us have put in so much work, and someone like yourself, far more than me. But I'm saying whatever level we're at, like if we
Yeah, if you
all
want to do it for a living,
do
if you
it,
want to do it for a
yeah.
living, there was a guy that came on a show. I had another channel that we sold, and he came on there about 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember he 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 started a channel. He had a channel back then too, but you know um he was a friend of somebody that used to come on the panel, this guy Aqua, and now that guy, Chaotic Truth, he
Oh, I've heard of
got,
this person.
he
I've
got
heard of this
bigger.
person.
He's got bigger, and I didn't know. And he would have panels, and somebody was telling me this guy that used to come on our stream 5 years ago on the other channel, Blaxican. He said that he goes, yeah, that guy, knows this other guy that came on this show here. It popped up in the feed because I guess they knew each other. Brave knows Chaotic CT, and he got big, I heard, even through Brave, and then Blaxican. And I said, yeah. So I heard he's making like around $2,000 a week, and he said probably more. So when you look at YouTube on a low end, if you stream every day or produce very good content and have it come out, say 3 times a week, because I'm even falling behind, even though I stream every day, to really, really do this correctly, I need to take parts of the streams because it's hard to watch the stream. I rarely watch the stream after I stream. It's more for everybody to, some of the streams I do have to look through because we talk about such knowledgeable stuff. It's good to take clips of that. Like that's what Vegan Skeptic said, I think, in a comment. So I might look at the last stream because even Scribe goes, they got pretty deep after. Thank goodness he came on the show last time because I was really tired last night. But the thing is to stream, you don't have to stream every night like I do. I mean, I'm used to it. It's been years. I started my first YouTube channel in 2006. And that was when Google didn't own it. It was great. It was like the Wild West. I still have it. And eventually you couldn't really get paid back then off of it. But when Google bought it, I went to Blog Talk Radio, and I might still do something with that channel too, because it's my original channel. It might just have the spark of luck, because that's another thing too. I think about, like, how you're saying to do YouTube as a full-time employment, and it's like, okay, so that means the commitment. I would need to take clips from all of the streams and put them up as a 3-minute video, and then a 60-second clip. So, like, and also the king, content is king. I know you've heard that saying, content is king.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you got to have good content, because there's stuff, a lot of videos I had to make private. Some of them because of the, to make sure I stay within guidelines, because even some that I'm in guidelines that I just don't like it. I'm seeing that when people curse on the stream, it just doesn't make for a quality stream. I mean, I've had a lot of streams.
No, I get it. Yeah. I totally understand. And I've allowed my streams to get too Wild West, and I've done it myself. And it's, it's not that it's bad in and of it. It's like Howard Stern. Like, Howard Stern was great in the sense because he had those guidelines and he pushed as hard as he could and went over the line sometimes. But because he had those hard lines, it kept it where enough people could get the distribution and actually see what was being said. See what I'm saying? And I think that's the kind of attitude we need to have. We're like, look, there's certain lines we can cross and certain lines we can't, and maybe we can go right up to the line and even just over.
Or maybe even not want to do that. Maybe what I'm learning is set parameters and to say, all right, because we get a notion as creators of wanting to do everything, and I get that a lot. And I remember one guy told me, he goes, "Listen, you can't do everything." And he told me in a different way, but it was like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying. He goes, you want to do this, you want to do the carpentry, you do electrician, you can put in, cement, some masonry, stuff like that. He goes, but you can't do everything. There's going to be things you can't do. And the beauty is that the internet, we have at our fingertips that we can stream. We can pay a little money, we can invest. It takes a little money to make money. And we can say, okay, so I pay, I think $50 a month, 45 or something for StreamYard, which is worth it, because I'm saying, okay, now I got unlimited streaming. I can put up pictures easier. I can play little video clips, even though unless I make them, that's the only ones I play just to stay it safe. And my co-host, he would say, oh, you're playing it kind of safe. I said, well, if you're looking at it as employment, you should play it safe, but you're also providing something of high value for people. Because if you hold yourself to that, like I see some people that all they do is just they'll just sit and they won't really be that entertaining. Well, and it's not to be entertaining like a show that has no meaning to it, but it's to be something that's stimulating to the mind. And it's hard because it's not a grift. It's actually talking with people about something that's needed, but most people are afraid of, or they're zombified or something, or they want to do, or I wouldn't say afraid, but more addicted to something else, saying, well, I want to watch something that I don't got to think as much. And these streams, now it says, okay, now the audience is going to be smaller, because from the other stuff I would talk about with dating and other stuff like this, relationships, I would talk about different types of knowledge about race and stuff like that, and how that actually does very well if you can keep it within a certain parameter and say, okay, I'm not going to these distances or these places in this conversation because I'm afraid of it or this and that. I'm not going there because I want to keep it contained to where we can have a higher quality understanding of one particular part of a subject. And by that, you start making quality strides forward. You start saying, okay, what do I want to do? I need a goal. So the goal, it starts with the goal. So, and you're right, we should support each other. People should support each other. People should be like, hey, you know what? The main thing is we got to decide, okay, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Is it compatible? or how many are there other people? And honestly, that's a way to really increase, because numbers, you get stronger. So if there's like, say, okay, when you stream, I'm trying to be there. When I stream, but it's got to be something where it's quality. And again, if we stream, yeah, it's a tough one, man. You know what it is? You just got to do it. I don't know if you have videos that you do that are public, but yeah, if you're there. I'm just looking.
No,
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah, because yeah, the zombies. I don't know if you saw, like, I don't know if you know about, like, if you're into like words or like anagrams or like spelling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do a lot of wordplay for my stuff.
You sound like you're all right in the middle of something.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of like family stuff. So, but yeah, I do a lot of wordplay and stuff too. Like a lot of, I guess you'd say, I like to play with the words and semantics quite a lot.
How about anagrams?
Yeah, I do them relatively often for some of my stuff, especially my writing stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's getting late. I appreciate you being on, man. Other people, if you get any ideas, I stream every night. Just hop in and let me know. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat, man. T-Ref, thank you, brother, for the support, bro. Yeah, man. Every night, brother. Every night. Gonna rock it. And you guys take care. Have a good night. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Thank you for having me.